Guys, welcome to a special edition of Season 2, Episode 3 of Full Tilt Esports Psych. Oh my gosh, I didn't even say it right. Full Tilt Esports Psych. How you guys doing? My name is Adew, Andrew, and we have ourselves our other host right here, Mikey W. Mike. We have another special guest today, special guest. We have our boy Oscar here to discuss League Legends, Smash, anything else, World of Warcraft, a lot of other things. This guy's an aficionado of the esports realm, of gaming in general. We're going to have a lot to talk about with him, a lot to discuss. But before we get started, we got to do our intro, Mike. Are you tilted?
I'm always tilted. Are you tilted?
Man, I'm tilted to the max. I'm always tilted. This guy right here, Mikey W, always has me tilted every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But our special guest, young Oscar, are you tilted?
Dude, you can see it in my eyes, dude. I'm like ultra tilted all the time.
Full of rage. This guy's the original, the tilt god, right? Taxing cyberbullying.
On that note, you know who we needed to revisit something we were talking about with the Golden State Warriors about when you like being a good teammate and whatnot and learning with good people. So you can still learn from people even if you don't agree with each other or you dislike each other, but we don't condone falcon punching your teammate if you have a disagreement. We do not condone that, okay?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Smash Bros today, so falcon punching your teammate is probably pretty low on the list of things you should be doing. We don't condone that. What did we say the last time, Mike? Didn't we say, like, so our conversation on the previous episode was basically, we were like, oh, you know, like Golden State is doing this 2-track team rebuild thing where they're like, they've got the old guard of like really, really talented, like this old dynasty, and they're trying to like hand over the keys to the young bucks. One of those old guard, kind of a legend on his own, right? And he's a little bit of a psychopath, but Draymond Green, right? And then on the other hand, in the young boys, we got Jordan Poole that's coming up. He's probably only like 20, 21 years old, only drafted in the previous year. Yeah, really young. But he's like already super talented, just signed a new contract. And there was a video of the practice that came out, and Draymond Green just walks over, gets into an argument, they shove each other, and then Draymond Green just falcon punches Jordan Poole right in the face. Just pretty bad. And so there's a TMZ video up there, so if you guys want to go see that,
I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, yo, this has to be like a spam message or like someone's like trying to create a rumor.
Yeah, like right? Clickbait or whatever, but it was actually not clickbait. Like, legitimately not clickbait.
I was kind of shocked, to be honest, but also kind of like, damn, Draymond lost it.
Yeah, that was
to see it happen.
That was kind of uncool. In a grand scheme of occurrences that could happen in a practice, that was pretty uncool, you know. Anyway, so that was like, that was us. Maybe we were wrong about teammates or the 2-track building thing. Maybe there was some conflict in there. I mean, we were both saying that it was a positive thing, right? But
it's a positive thing, probably still, but there doesn't mean there isn't conflict within that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, eventually they'll just go along their paths and like figure it all out. Which I'm still hoping for both of them to have good careers in general, but they can be nicer to the Houston Rockets and let us win some games or something like that, you know?
Well, but we'll keep you guys updated on that if we hear anything more, if there's any other things occurring in that situation, but we just wanted to address that and be like, well, I guess we weren't exactly right on that case, but we'll see if it works out in the end. They seem to still be winning games, so it may not matter, but
yeah. On another note, we wanted to say happy birthday to our boy Young Karan, aka DPS Brownie.
Air horns everywhere.
38 horn. You know, we ate some sushi. Oscar was to hang out with us that night too. We ate some sushi, ate some sushi, and played some poker.
Yeah, we played some sushi, ate some poker.
Yeah. You know,
super delicious.
And then also I wanted to say happy birthday to my guy Sinway. His birthday's coming up next week, I believe. He's a Halloween baby. And Oscar and Sinway are some of the main reasons why we had an amazing time in Mexico recently.
You guys went to Mexico, that's right.
Exactly. And like Sinway and Oscar have to like translate for us the whole time.
Oh, shoot.
Like, what are we doing?
It was very important. One of them was with you, huh?
Yeah. And I mean, they were just down most of the time to have deep combos while on vacation and willing to support my crazy endeavors, like go on to a salsa club and just without knowing how to dance at all, and we just try to just go for it, and yeah, we ended up having a great time.
Salsa, boy. Hit him with the dance.
Show it on my Mexico video or Mexico trip video in the future, you know what I'm saying?
All right, okay. We'll see Mike out there dancing, doing what else did you guys do in Mexico?
Well, I don't know about everybody, but I know Oscar and I definitely tried crickets at one point.
Tried crickets?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I ate. It was in a.
How was it made? Was it like
salsa,
fried? Oh, was it like fried or like?
And some other stuff. Yeah, they were fried.
Yeah, fried.
Very crunchy. I also, one time when I tried to just eat the cricket by itself, like the leg, I didn't bite it right, so the leg was just poking my lip, and it hurt a lot. I was just like,
sucks.
damn, what am I doing?
What did I do wrong?
Yeah, basically. Also, there's this think the canals in like, is it Italy or whatever? But think of like a Mexico version, and it's more like a boat party, and it's just wilder out there. Like we got vendors coming up to us with all sorts of stuff,
while on the boat,
be like souvenirs, food, whatever. Or awesome. The mariachi bands, right? Bands. Oscar.
Bands, yeah.
Is there anything I'm forgetting? I mean, I conquered at least one fear of like, even though I see an animal that could literally kill me.
What? Which animal?
Gigantic python.
Oh, python.
Yeah.
Like a boa constrictor or python or something?
And I just was like, F it, dude. My guy David, Nintendo grandpa, just said like, I'll do it if you do it. And then something in my brain was like,
oh my god.
Don't be scared. We're on vacation. It's like literally Korean Mike came out and was just like, you gotta try it. And when you're not in the US, it's like you just gotta try things.
No, yeah, exactly.
What, just at least try.
Get out of your comfort zone a little bit, right? Are you afraid of snakes, Mike?
Honestly, when I was a kid, I used to think snakes and cheetahs were like my favorite animals. But then as I got older, I realized how dangerous they were. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of scared of snakes now.
You're like, oh, what a cute little snake. It's like a rattlesnake, like rattling right at you. It's like, I want to touch this thing.
Some troll shit.
No, dude, yeah. Some people are afraid of snakes, some people are afraid of bugs, and it looks like you conquered both fears this time around.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
That's pretty badass. Dude, he had put on his inner Aztec warrior, and he said, F it, I'm just going in, man. Okay, well, so where'd you guys go? So it was Mexico City, right?
Mexico City.
How many days was it for you guys?
5 days, 4 nights, I believe.
5 days, 4 nights. Nice.
Yeah.
And what did you guys like the most for it? What do you recommend if anybody went there to go do?
Well, if it's for anybody that's maybe similar to me, the best time was like, I think, actually, damn. The churros are bomb.
Oh, churros are it.
Like, I personally just like, I don't know what it is about churros, but I just love it. That with the icing or like whatever.
I know what it is.
Icing,
sugar, my friend. Sugar is what
or the frosting or whatever.
Oh, the churros.
Yeah, with the churros. Yeah.
No, it's probably it's mainly like cream cheese.
Okay.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That shit was so good.
And what about you, Oscar?
I don't know, just like the people in general, the scenes, it's just like walking around was a vibe. Like I personally loved it. Like, yeah, Oscar's, I was gonna say, is one of the guys that I share kind of like similar hobby. Mm-hmm. He takes it a little further than me, but like photography, but it's still like and capturing moments basically. And we have our different like ways of doing it or what we like to capture. But it's always nice to like see him doing stuff too. And when
unique perspectives,
we were in Mexico, we were just able to see all sorts of like scenes or like you joked. You have to have the eye for it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
And you just gotta be able to see certain picture opportunities, and
that's really cool.
I think Mexico was full of those. Along with their people were like super kind and just like really made the whole trip very warm, I guess. Warm, exciting, like it just like when we like Oscar or Sinway would like talk to somebody, sometimes it unlocked a secret quest or some shit like
little side quest.
And we just went out there and just did stuff, and it led to like a very spontaneous adventure, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So necesitan aprender español, is that right?
Yes.
See, there you go, baby.
Good job.
Well, see, I don't
Got
even
you.
know what they said, man. Oscar is in the know, and then I'm just like question it. Like let Vincent in the edit just like put question marks over Mike's head or some shit.
Question marks over his head. You gotta learn. We gotta learn some Korean because we're gonna be going to Korea soon. But
yeah, for sure. That'd
Oscar,
be fun too.
Let me ask you. Wait, so I remember you told me once. Are you Mexican Guatemalan or what did you say?
No, I'm half Mexican, half Colombian.
Mexican Colombian. Okay. No, I thought it was Guatemala. I thought it was. That's what he said.
There's a lot of
heard Guatemala.
Countries. It's just
there are. I just haven't heard. I haven't heard someone that I know yet say that I'm Guatemalan. And then when I heard, like, when I thought of Oscar being Guatemalan too, I'd be like, yo, that'd be cool too if Oscar was.
Dude, because it's so silly. Because like anytime any like Latino person is around, everybody just assumes they're like Mexican. It's like, okay, Mexican. Man, but like I was like, okay, dude, like you can't just assume, right? But like at the same time,
very fair.
I couldn't remember what Oscar had said, but
I think my favorite thing is when people ask me, "Oh, do you speak Mexican?" And I'm like,
"Do you speak Mexican?"
Yeah, I speak Mexican.
Yeah, you're like, how do I answer this? How do I answer this?
Correct them, or
you're like, well, should I teach you the intricacies of my culture? Should I bring you to Mexico City and teach you everything about like the 1,000, 2,000 year history of this? Or yeah, I speak Mexican. Like it's just like what's easier.
Yo, anyway. But Oscar, what was your favorite thing to do in Mexico? As a half Mexican Colombian man, and then going back to Mexico.
Back to the motherland, boy.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, my favorite thing whenever I go to Mexico, Colombia, or really anywhere that's not Houston, is just looking at like the landscape, looking at all the architecture, looking at how different the city or town is built compared to like the Houston urban areas, suburbs, even the rural areas, right? I don't know why, but I've always been interested in that.
This man's playing SimCity in his head.
No, as far as I can remember, like I remember vividly my first trip to Colombia. I was like 5, and like the first thing I saw, like landing in, I was still in the airplane, but we were landing was the mountain ranges, and I was what is this? Like, I've never seen mountains before. Houston's, like, completely flat. If anything, we get, like, a really small hill, but that's it. Freaking
that is pretty
tall-ass mountains, I'm like, this is super cool.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
And, like, same thing with Mexico. There's a lot of mountains in Mexico as well. I've always been fascinated by mountains and then just, like, different types of landscapes. That's, like, foreign to me.
You traveled to a different Minecraft biome, bro. That's what you did.
Yeah, dude.
You, like, got off the plane and you're like, what is this?
I love that. Even in like video games and MMOs, actually that's probably one of the reasons why I like MMOs is because, you know, when you go into a different zone, like the whole scenery just changes.
Right. And
then depending on how well the company or the gaming company executes that scenery, like it can look really pretty. You know.
It can be pretty breathtaking. Yeah.
Yeah, but going back to the question, my favorite part of Mexico is definitely taking videos and pictures of like the buildings and like the roads and Mike, I know, because like I know Mike likes capturing like the moments with his friends. I like that too, but if I can incorporate that with like, you know, like a backdrop or
landscape, environment,
like that's my thing.
I like it.
But yeah, no, it was great. I mean, obviously I enjoyed all the food. Like
hell yeah.
I enjoyed the company too, and on.
How many people did y'all go with? It was a lot, right?
It was like 15, 14, 15.
14, I believe. Something like that.
Yeah. But
it's a lot of people.
Honestly, I think my favorite part was when I asked everyone, I was like, "Oh, did you have fun? Did you have fun?" Everyone said yes. Yeah. And then like I went home to my mom and she asked me like, "Oh, how was your trip? Blah blah blah. Do your friends like it?" And I was like, "Mom, like everyone loved it."
Yeah.
And she like literally almost started crying because like she, you know, when people think of Mexico, people think of like the cartels and drugs, right? But
I guess so.
Mexico City is not even the top 50 most dangerous cities in the world. It's very beautiful. Going out into like the suburbs, even the urban areas, like only an hour away, like there's a lot of stuff to see. And like when my mom heard that, it was like, oh, thank God. Like I was, you know, like she said the same thing. Like everyone just thinks about like all the problems over there.
Mhm.
They don't get to see the beauty, right? But the fact that like my friends were able to see it, like made her really happy, and that also made me happy too, because it was I realized how important it was for her to
Like a sense of almost like relief, right? Which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a little bit strange, but
Mhm.
can be that way. Yeah, like it's like, oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that everybody put the right foot forward. Everybody saw the good stuff about
Mhm.
about a place.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys
Like-
went. Like it sounded like you guys had like an amazing time. So
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was actually pretty dope. We had a lot of memories made. Hopefully we'll get to show them in the future through IG, YouTube, whatever we
That'd be
post our
excellent.
pictures on.
yeah,
you know?
we'd love to see those. Yeah. So anyway, so let's talk about Oscar, our guest today, our boy, young Oscar. Went back to the motherland to Mexico, but also went back to the motherland recently. Azeroth. This guy grew up in Azeroth, didn't he? Dude, I remember when we went over for Brownie's little birthday back at your place. You were like on that
Yeah.
king chair at the top, and you were just like gaming. It was Wrath of the Lich King Classic came out, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I'm
the
not
boy
even
right there.
surprised.
Not even
Yo,
surprised.
Oscar and I, like, he has returned back to Azeroth, but I'm glad he started to hang out more often with us now, come out and do certain things. Azeroth is always his home, but I need this man to come adventure with me sometimes, instead of beating up on people in the arenas.
The
Okay.
arenas. I have a confession to make. I've never played a single minute of WoW before. Like
It's probably good that you haven't.
yeah. Sometimes if you have an addictive personality, it's better to stay away from these kind of things.
Yeah.
That's probably not a mistake. Sometimes I think maybe it was a mistake, and then I'm like, this is probably better for me.
Yeah.
Just possibly.
Possibly.
Want to give a little intro to my guy here, Oscar. So our history in general, I mean, we did play WoW back in the day. I actually met Oscar for the first time when we were freshmen in high school.
Really?
I was
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I'm a dumb high school kid at the time. Whatever puberty, whatever is happening.
So it was love at first sight. That's what you're
just
telling
let
me, right?
I was kind of mean to Oscar. Okay,
Whoa.
Oscar asked a very innocent basketball question, and like I thought I was just like a fucking know-it-all basically back then. And
Everybody
I just,
shame this guy,
answered
shame
super
him.
rudely to him about like whatever basketball question, and like I was just like, God damn, I don't even know. There was no point to it at all, and I was just like, damn, I can't believe I did that shit. I'm sorry. And I told
Whoa.
Oscar before later on because we hung out. I was just like,
Oh,
dude,
no.
I'm so sorry for that. I was
You know,
just being a dumb kid back
I mean,
then.
the fact that you feel bad about it, I mean, that's personal growth, right? I mean, come on, like,
Yeah,
we can't look back on it and be like, okay, this guy's like a total jerk even now, right? But like, you're different than that.
Yeah,
And the fact that
fair.
it bothered you so much, like, is like, oh shoot, like I mean, you like instantly realize it, so it wasn't like you meant to.
Yeah. He also though he got me back. He humbled me pretty well later.
That's right.
This is where I learned basically that I am trash at Halo and was it Smash Melee at the time back in high school. See, okay, growing up through middle school, like those were the games, man, that were coming out that were popping back then, right?
Yo.
Played Oscar. Okay, there was like Oscar, David, and Long, and every time I played all three of them in Smash, I was just literally getting my ass handed to me. I was just like, I don't know what this game is anymore.
Yeah, no, Oscar's one of those like the original like console monsters, right? Like,
Yeah, he is one of them, and you didn't want to mess with Oscar back then.
Those LAN games,
I
right?
swear we
Yeah.
had like two kind of like Halo legends at Dulles. It was Oscar and another friend, Kyle Welch. They're both crazy in different regards, but they were just like built different, kind of.
yeah, that's when you realize like there's levels to it. Like even then, you're like, oh my gosh, like some people are like really good at this. Oscar's one of them. So
Yeah. Oscar also he also killed me with kindness later because like anytime my car was fucked up or some shit, this is the guy like, yo, Oscar, what do I do? I was gonna be like, yo, did you do this? And like, yo, save me basically.
did you try turning it off and turning it back on?
Yeah, some shit like that, computer type shit. But
for
thank
cars.
God for Oscar basically, and just wanted to reiterate that. And I don't know, even him and now recently, him and I, we kind of or he says I inspired him to like put stickers on our water bottle, so he kind of had put his stuff too. He showed me, he might not have it on him right now, but he put some cats on it, of course, because he's a big cat dad. His daughters are hiding right now somewhere in the room, but super cute. Oh, is it? Oh yeah, she's chilling up there. Oh, little baby.
Oscar said her name.
Y'all didn't hear me say that on stream. Sorry, y'all did not hear me do that.
Little baby.
Okay, I'm a very proud cat uncle. Okay, it's just I can't help it. Okay,
Normalize being proud cat uncles. Normalize it. It's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
So Oscar's main games, as we maybe alluded to earlier, are WoW, aka World of Warcraft, League of Legends back in the day.
Yeah.
Smash, more so Melee, but he has played the more recent, Ultimate. Yeah. And he was a Halo fiend, absolute Halo fiend, especially Halo 2 specifically.
Oh,
where BXR was a thing.
The best one. I don't know, the best one.
If you don't know what BXR is, go look it up. I could never do it, and Oscar I was a potato compared to Oscar, you know?
Yeah, those are my games.
Hell yeah!
Hey, and then actually, wasn't it
why.
In Halo Infinite? Isn't Oscar? Didn't you reach like Onyx or whatever it was?
I did reach Onyx. Yeah, I got to so after reaching Onyx, there's like an LP system, kind of like in League, like an Elo system.
Okay, yeah.
So like
you get your numbers or after that, right?
Yeah. So I was like Onyx, maybe 1800 LP per se.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was called. So I mean, it was 1800 was pretty like decent, right? You started playing with like really good players at that range.
Okay.
And then like amateurs as well. But
were you on a controller or what were you on?
I was on mouse and keyboard.
Mouse and keyboard. Okay.
So I don't know. I was when I started playing Halo again. I was just like, I don't have like a controller that I really like, you know. So I was like, I'm gonna just stick to mouse and keyboard, whatever, you know. Like the controller players have an advantage, whatever.
Aim assist and stuff.
Yeah, they have like very slight aim assist, and just overall the design of the game and the fluidity of the game is just optimized for a controller, in my opinion. But yeah, Onyx and mouse and keyboard, floating around 1800. And I stopped playing just because, I don't know, I just got bored. I was like, I'm Onyx. I'm Onyx. That's all I really care about.
It's good enough. You know, we got other things to do, basically, right?
Yeah.
He came, he saw, he conquered, he walked away. Like, that was like...
Basically.
It was the end of the story.
Yeah. Yo, maybe he made time, instead of playing Halo, he made time to get swole in the gym, listening to his muscle music. So, why is muscle music the way, Oscar? Why? Let us know right now.
Do you know the way?
Do you know the way?
You are the false queen. No. You know, I started listening to like heavy metal and like death metal back in like 6th and 7th grade.
Holy.
And you can kind of argue that dubstep is probably the heavy portion of like the EDM scene. So I naturally gravitated towards that kind of music. And like when I listen to dubstep, I'm like freaking on it. Like I'm cracked out. Like I don't have to do like crack or some shit to like feel cracked out. I'll just listen to dubstep. Or like have some coffee and listen to dubstep, right?
Have some coffee. Wake up in the morning.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It just gets me pumped up and like it makes me like go into like beast mode and like I don't know. I just turn into, like, an animal. Especially when I'm at like concerts and stuff like that. Like I remember one time I was like tipsy. I was having a good time. Whatever.
Okay.
With my homies. And like I go to the front. I was like I'm gonna go to the front. And then like you know how they have like the guardrail.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Dude, I was literally just like. The fucking guard was like, "Yo, you need to chill, bro." And I was like, oh, shit, my bad. And then, I don't know. It's something about dubstep, just like it's like a switch and just turns me into some.
Dude, wait, Oscar.
Animal.
Do you remember I forgot what show I went with you. It was a long time ago. It was with a couple of your friends. I'm not gonna put names out there, but do you remember we essentially threw a dude onto the stage? We helped him. You remember that?
Yes.
And then he jumped back into it because like the security was trying to catch him on the stage, and he jumped back into it, and we caught this man. This is the most. I think that had to be one of the craziest like concert interactions I've ever.
Wait, but was it a stranger for you guys, or like what? Somebody you guys knew?
It's one of Oscar's. Oh, we went to high school with him.
They weren't a part of our group. It's part of like a different group from
like a larger group of people.
Yeah, well, they're mainly from the class of 2009, like a grade above us. But yeah, that was at Zomboy. That was a Zomboy concert.
Yeah.
But yeah, that shit was crazy. We actually still talk about that to this day.
And tossing human beings on the stage.
I don't think I could ever forget that.
Yeah.
TBH.
Had to evade the cops thereafter.
All right.
Let's
get on to our main topics that we brought young Oscar to talk about.
Let's do it.
Worlds is happening these days for League of Legends, and I guess we wanted to get your insight on what's been going on. For the viewers that don't know, League of Legends has a world tournament that there's 4 main regions: NA, EU, China, and Korea. And then there's also like smaller regions that they have to participate in the play-in stage, or is play-in stage, right, Oscar?
Play-ins, but Vietnam their first seed is qualified for groups.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Vietnam, I'm see
for the culture.
My people are becoming good enough just to get in, dude. Like that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
we've come a long way.
I think that the PCS region, so Taiwan, basically, their first seed is also automatically qualified. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, and so eventually they just all meet up. All these teams have to duke it out. These major regions get a couple more teams to be able to compete, just because of how big the regions are or how popular the game is in that region. And basically we made it past the play-ins and group stage, and we are in quarterfinals now of the World Tournament. And T1, which is a South Korean team, and RNG, a Chinese team, are competing against each other in the quarterfinals. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. T1 defeated RNG 3-0 in the quarterfinals. And I just wanted to bring up different styles of League of Legends and like why each region kind of likes this, or like why it works against another region. For those that don't know, Chinese League of Legends is very aggro, I guess, very aggressive. They go for everything. Literally, they have a thing called skill check, and if you can't do the skill check, they're just gonna bully you the whole game. They don't care. They won't even care about the strategy because you can't stop them basically. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a thing for China. And then Koreans have been notoriously been known to just like play at turtle pace, like very calm, collected. Usually, on the organized side, that's pro play. Because when I was in Korea, I've seen those people in the PC bongs or PC rooms getting wild in there. Sometimes it's pretty funny. Also,
right.
Most of the time they're chill.
So then, would you say then if you had to characterize it, right? So then China is like all out aggression, go for every single play, right? Like if you see something, go for it, right? That kind of thing is just basically, and the skill checks was just basically like, I'm going to beat you 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, whatever the numbers, the cases might be.
Right.
Just going for everything, invasions, everything, right? Like they're just instigators, right? They want to start something up. And then in Korea, it's all about like discipline, would you say? Like discipline, very like cerebral.
It is very cerebral.
More cautious.
It's like, very cautious.
Opportunistic, more cautious, right?
Yeah, like very calculated. I feel like everything's very calculated.
Yeah. Right.
EU, like there used to be a joke when EU was starting to make some noise a little bit a couple of years back. They're like supposed to be like a renaissance of what League of Legends could be. Like they're doing stuff that people don't even understand. They're just doing shit, but it works. somehow. Like it broke like Korea at the times thinking, because like what the hell are these people doing? But it also had some sense to it when people actually try to analyze it later.
Would you say maybe like the Koreans were like kind of meta setters or something like this, or like they set the stage stylistically, right? And then either you have to match them and beat them at their own game, or take a different style, right? And like maybe like match them or like overmatch them in a different way. I guess it's like a mismatch sort of hunting sort of situation, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I don't know what to call NA. We try to copy Korea.
We just try to copy them.
No, we're just a for fun region. That's okay, dude. We're a for fun region.
Yeah.
Retirement home for other regions.
The people talk about it, and it is kind of true that just like maybe the environment of our rank system in League, or just like something about our culture also maybe just doesn't breed like the top talents. It's not as great of environment if you want to be like a pro level player, as in like Korea or China, like or even EU. Like the environment's just better for a pro player. We might be better for like streamers and something like that because you get the clips, etc. But it's not as good for pro play.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess we are a for fun region, and
NA
so that's why
region.
we're just gonna mark out NA of like why every team can beat NA, or every region can beat NA. We'll just talk about EU, China, and Korea. So, Oscar, why do you think it's almost like a paper scissors rock kind of? Honestly, now that I'm starting to think about it, like Korea kind of beats China. China can stop more easily on EU, and EU's so wacky that it kind of can beat Korea sometimes. What do you think? Why do you think that is the way it is as of now?
So I feel like EU and NA actually, their main strategy is to copy whatever Korea or China is doing. They're not very good at it, and that's why you barely see them pass like quarterfinals, except like maybe in 2019 when
it was Caps
when it was
and everybody.
G2, right?
Yeah.
The reason why they made it is because they were actually, not only were they good at their roles, but they had a really good champion pool. So they kind of had like the dream team, right? But even then, like once they got to the finals, they just got gapped in every way possible. I don't know, the Asian teams are just straight up better. And you mentioned it earlier, and I'm pretty. This is, in my opinion, is probably one of the reasons why I think we almost always lose to them. Is just like their culture, right?
Okay.
I feel like in general, like the Asian culture is more passionate towards like their work and like how like disciplined they are.
So a disciplined work ethic sort of gap between, that's the difference.
Like, yeah, because we have like the Korean teams practice like, I don't know, like 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
Dude, like none of the American teams do that. I think they tried doing it at one point, but like players got burned out or they just were unhappy and then they swapped teams. That's just not really a Western thing to do. Is to put in that much work, in anything, in my opinion, at least, right? I don't remember who it was. I think it was either Someday or not Someday. Maybe it was Summit, a Korean player.
Okay.
And you know, whenever they would lose a game, they would just like go out to eat or some shit, you know, like do something that's like not productive at all to analyze like what happened, right? And like Korean teams or Chinese teams, like Eastern teams, they don't do that. Like if they lose a game, they will sit there and analyze over and over, watch replays over and over, like what happened, what could we have done better, you know? The way the Western teams kind of like manage their organization and manage their teams, it's more lax compared to the Eastern teams.
Okay.
So really, what I'm getting with is like the overall amount of work the Eastern teams put in compared to the Western teams is far more greater, and I think that's one of the reasons why we just they're always like 2 steps ahead of us.
Mhm.
Every now and then we'll have a dream team, right?
Yeah.
So like G2, uh, you can arguably say C9 as well.
That one time, like it was
That
around
one
that
time we
time
went to
too.
semis, yeah. But
Dude,
even
I was
then,
in Korea and I watched that.
The
I was there to watch
Miracle Run.
their run.
Mhm.
Some of the Korean high school students that I played basketball with, like we went together and watched that live, and we kind of took like half bets, like who would pay for dinner. I just bought it anyways, but like if America makes it, then like all four of them have to split the bill for our dinner, and if like a Korean team or whoever beat the NA team, I'd pay. The NA team lost, so I ended up paying for them. It's some troll shit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
But you know,
there's several reasons, but that's like one of the reasons.
So that's like the baseline, like work ethic, like at the very bare minimum, like before we even get started on anything else, right? Like it's one of those things where culture wise, we believe that maybe like the work ethic has a lot to do at like this is your foundation, right? So then if you're not really
Sure.
building from there, it's not going to go anywhere, I guess, right? So then the 16 hours versus the 8 hours, and then hey, let's go grab dinner together or whatever.
yeah, like now that you mentioned foundation, I feel one of the things that I think the Eastern teams do better is it feels like those regions, specific or like even I honestly include EU to a degree, is they know a style and they stick to it and they find ways to win with that style.
Okay.
They also, I think, they potentially maybe execute their game plans better. Obviously, in league and whatever, like you're not gonna get your dream scenario all the time, so you have to adapt too, right? But they understand what the game plan originally was, and they're just better at staying with the strategy and adapting within that. They're adjusting their tactics and within the strategy, I guess you could say. I think that's what a lot of when I'm watching an RNG or a T1, like I feel like they're good at that.
So if it's like a Bob
especially
Ross,
Korean
like
teams.
a canvas, right? Like you have this canvas, and then you're just gonna do the broad strokes and fill it in somewhere along the way, right? That makes sense. Like they have an idea, they know what they want to do, right? And then you just do that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I also got to see T1 and RNG play when they were playing that quarterfinals. They in game one, I believe they baited a Baron attempt, or T1 did, the Korean team baited a Baron attempt. If you understand League of Legends, like to take a fight in pro level, like you want vision basically, right? So they baited the Baron attempt, but they really didn't want that. They wanted the dragon. So but RNG was like slow to the play, so they had to react and they clear all the words, etc. Right? And after they wasted all their words for Baron, they just went. It was an early part of the game, so they went straight to Dragon, and RNG can't keep up at that point. So I feel like Korea, like Oscar said, is they're always like playing steps ahead. They're so calculated, cerebral about the game, where they're always setting up situations where they're okay to win, I guess, or like they're creating winning situations. I even think like, do you remember when Bang came from Korea to America? I remember seeing certain clips of like it was a EU jungler. Also, I forgot his name, but he was like telling Bang like, just trust what you see, blah blah blah. Just play. But that probably was the right thing to say in NA. But for Bang, who's been playing in Korea for almost all his life, he was a part of a championship, etc. Like the levels of like mind games that the Korean teams would play on each other just to get like one single pick were crazy. So that's why like he's been conditioned in that level or that environment to play at a very high level still, right? So unless someone on his team also helps him to check, because he's the ADC, and back then the ADC is like God basically. Now it's more about the mid laner, but like I said, the environment for pro play is just not as good in NA, and that's why like they're not breeding people to be as calculated. And it's more for fun, like people say,
and not to think any deeper than at any deeper strategy level than like the Koreans are thinking at, right? Like so when he comes over, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Do you have any other examples that you can think of like that, Oscar?
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back and to the whole like NA for fun, right? When also like the Koreans like coming over, like I'll talk more about like the imports that come over and have like really good success or like really bad success. So good success would probably be like Impact, Someday, Core JJ.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right? When they came in, I mean they were already like gods, or more so Impact
Yeah.
and Core JJ. I mean
Okay.
Someday was already good, but
Mhm.
anyways, you know, they had won championships, whatever, and learned the English language fairly quickly. Were able to really good at communicating with their team, as well, right? They brought a lot of value to their team because not only did they bring like a new perspective of like you know how they did things in Korea,
Mhm.
but maybe they were able to help their teammates understand like their roles better,
Right.
like top lane, whatever
Yeah.
world that they were in. Um, then you have imports that were champions
Mhm.
imported, and they were just complete trash. Well, okay, I don't want to say complete trash, but like it just ended up not working out. So a good example, Piglet,
Mm.
Piglet.
Bang, even Bang, yeah,
Mhm.
cool. Those are really the top two. There's some other ones as well, but those are the
Would
top
you
two that
count
come to mind.
European imports too then, like
Oh,
Blippo,
Europeans as
etc.?
well. Who was the one that was in CLG back in like season 3, season 4? I think it came from Copenhagen Wolves. I forgot his name
I'm
already, but
forgetting.
yeah, I mean, yeah, no,
Febivin?
huh?
Is it Febivin?
That's a mid laner. He was
Okay,
from
never mind.
Misfits. He was good, but yeah, he didn't really have much luck in NA.
That's a big ego
Yeah,
guy.
I mean, we can kind of talk about that too, but
Yeah.
I'll focus more on the Koreans because, I mean,
Mhm.
they're generally better. Um, they would come to NA, you know, teams would like give them like a crazy paycheck or whatever,
Hmm.
thinking that like, oh yeah, like we'll bring freaking Bang. He literally just won like a world championship. Same with Piglet, right? Come to NA and then they just can't adapt to like our play style or like our culture as in like how the team functions, right? And you can't really blame them because it's so different on the eastern side of the world, you know? Like the way the teams, how do I say, like the way like the play style is compared for like a Korean team to American team, it's like it's really different. Like the eastern side is very methodical, right? Whereas the
Mhm.
westerners, I mean, again, they try to mimic what they do in like Korea or whatever,
So it's a
but they're not
pale
Mhm.
good at
imitation,
it.
right? Yeah.
So sometimes it just feels like they're just doing whatever, going at it against each other, trying to skill gap the other laner, right?
Yeah. Do
Um,
you think it's because they by imitating they don't always understand why,
mhm.
and they just see what it looks from surface level, and then
Yeah,
they try to mimic it. But if
for
you
sure.
see like what the Koreans are doing, like there's reason to the madness in a sense, or
Yeah,
even
for sure.
China too. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and then I think the other part is I forget who it was, but sometimes whenever someone that doesn't speak English is imported, they don't really want to learn the language, or they don't put
Mm.
as much effort to learn the language.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think Piglet was a good example actually. Um, he literally just like soloed everything. He tried to like 1v9 and it
Hmm.
just didn't work out. Even though he was a good player. Uh, I mean, obviously, League of Legends is a 5v5 game. You have to communicate with your team.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and he wasn't very good at that. Um, so yeah, I don't know.
So like basically, if
Go
they
ahead.
get imported and they become like mercenaries versus like integrating into their role and then like elevating their team, right? Or like being
Right.
being a part of it versus like being separate, like I don't know, like fitting in, it has a big measure to their success as well, right?
Hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the ones that failed probably just came into NA for the paycheck, in my opinion.
I can see
Which is
that.
fair. I mean,
Mercenaries, go get paid, man.
yeah, exactly. Like that's fair. You're gonna make a shit ton of money here compared to anywhere else. But
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, sometimes gameplay wise, it's not gonna work out.
Yeah, it is hard
Yeah.
to. It is hard, and that's again like I know we sort of discussed this the last time, and like team building concepts too, right? But like there's a lot that goes behind the type of person you are when you like throw them into the mix, right? Like say they weren't like a vocal leader in their team, or maybe they thrive in structure. Like some people are like really good when they're told exactly what to do or in exactly what order to do things, versus like being the one to be like, okay, we're doing something wrong, let's fix it in the way that I think makes more sense, right? So say like a person, I don't know, I couldn't tell you, but like say like a Someday or whoever came over, or Impact or whoever came over, and they were like, no, let's do it this way, or like they're more vocal leaders, or like they were better at adapting in that sense, where like personality or character trait wise, it made a bigger difference than say maybe, I don't know, say like Piglet or whoever came over, like they were more mercenaries, or perhaps they weren't even vocal leaders within their own teams before that, right? It's possible as well. So
probably I think Piglet is an example of, he was a young talent, and when he came over, he was still super immature too. Because I think I saw a documentary and stuff, and like honestly, he reminded me of some of the middle school students that I met that like, I don't know, depending on their upbringing and their own environments, I guess growing up, he had a lack of it.
So like emotional maturity, would you say, or like perhaps
both that and just maturity.
Maturity in general,
honest.
And that, I mean, that's really tough. I mean, you're gonna tell somebody to go overseas and go play for a group of people you have no connection to. Like it's like, okay, like what, like why am I doing this?
Food's different. Your family's not there. There's all sorts of things, and you're doing that at a young age too. So and he's not as mature. So it's pretty rough on the kid, or him back then. But obviously, if you're getting paid to be a pro too, you're even though you're young, you're still expected things. It's like in the NBA, right? When we've seen a lot of NBA players that sometimes some of those ones that did make it coming out of high school, they don't pan out. Sometimes it's due to injury, but also sometimes they just couldn't fit in or learn how to be a professional that fast at an early age. And like I feel like there was some high school, I forget all of them, but the success stories are like LeBron, KG, Kobe. But then there's also other players that are like more middling, or like or they just don't work out at all. I don't even remember their names now at this point, you know. And that's why the rule that gives them one college year and then they can go be drafted, I think actually helps a lot for them. Just that one extra year lets them mature a little bit.
Is there? I actually don't know this for sure. I think there is, right? Isn't there like a lower age limit for League of Legends players? Is it, how old do you have to be competing in, like, say, the LCS or Worlds?
Do you know, Oscar?
It's
16, 17, 18?
In NA, it's 16.
16?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's so young. That's young as hell.
Wasn't it like Spica or something? It was like super, like couldn't even join a team until he got old enough or something? Or something
it was Spica, and then right now it's some guy in 100 Themes. He's a top laner. Here's the brother of Viper, not the Korean Viper, NA Viper.
Too many Vipers.
I forgot his name. But anyways, 100 Threes tried to put him in the academy team, but he was only like 14 at the time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
he got in trouble or some shit?
No, they couldn't do it. Yeah, because it was just a rule.
He's too young.
You know? He's too young.
Yeah.
But
dude's like a freshman in high school.
Like, it's crazy, man. He hit Challenger when he was 12.
Jeez.
That's insane.
I gotta look up his name.
That's in Korea, right?
No.
Or
no, this is NA.
NA.
Oh, he did NA. That's still crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
something sniper. Anyways.
Viper and Sniper.
Yo, makes sense. Yo, while you're looking that up, I just wanted to bring it back to, I know we talked about Bang and like all that situation, but basically people would compare him over cautiousness while he was in NA to like seeing Ghost, I guess. There wasn't actually anything to be scared of.
Isn't that crazy?
But it's like he was literally in a sense traumatized by like how crazy things could be in Korea, and he came back from that war, came to NA, and was like, oh god,
he has like PTSD from playing in Korean solo queue.
I've lost the whole series because I made this one decision.
Right, but like that makes sense, because it's like, you know, like in Korea it's like I can't walk into this bush because like if you see somebody coming at you, it's like okay, like it's definitely, or if you don't see anybody, it's a gank, it's an effing gank, right?
Yeah.
But then like in NA, it's like somebody walking toward you, and it's like there's no one behind him. There's no bait or anything deeper than that, and he's just like, whoa, this has to be a bait. They can't be this stupid, right? Like,
yeah, basically, like. It's kind of true. It's kind of sad, but
That's
yeah,
funny.
that was definitely a thing.
Got him seeing ghosts. Like you hear footsteps behind you, but there's no one really there.
Yeah. Did you find it, Oscar?
Yeah,
or?
so his name is he goes by Sniper now, but his name was General Sniper, and he's 15. Yeah, he's 15. So he's he's in 100 Thieves next. So 100 Thieves next is like their development amateur team that goes into academy. So basically they pick out all the youngins, like 14, 15-year-olds that are like challenger or whatever the fuck. Try to develop them, and then once they become of age, then they'll go into like academy or even like a LCS team. So
that is crazy.
Yeah. So he's tearing it up. I remember specifically like Tyler One used to like host or not host. He would participate in
the tournaments or whatever.
100 or the Twitch Rivals events.
Oh yeah, Twitch Rivals.
And then Tyler One's very good at seeing young talent and trying to like expose the young talent.
Like give them exposure.
Yeah. So he would always vouch for Sniper, and like he was like, yeah, one day you're gonna make it to LCS, and like, who's that jungler that's like super toxic? He's still toxic to this day. He's not an LCS team. He's really good. He's like hit rank 1 like 5 times.
Yeah.
Tarzan.
Oh yeah.
Tarzan. So he would try to vouch for Tarzan. He would be like, "Yo, you're really good. You just need to fix your fucking attitude." Never did, but it's very good at seeing young talent and trying to expose them. Sniper being one of them. But yeah, it's crazy. He's 15. I thought he was 16 already, but no, he's 15.
I didn't know you could be that young.
Rank 1,
Sheesh.
or he's like up there for sure. The thing I like seeing in NA is like developing NA talent.
Yeah.
So like
that's been happening more recently now.
Recently, yeah, like Danny and JoJo.
I honestly, I think that's the only way to like refresh the scene. No,
it is.
Right? Because it's kind of like it was kind of like in CS when they ended up banning everybody for like the betting scandal or whatever. It's like there's a certain like mentality or like a certain culture or whatever, the way like just like a status of operating within like a system that doesn't go away until the new guard comes up, you know. And I think if you ever want to, and this is my personal opinion, I don't know if this is going to be true or not, but if NA ever wants to be taken seriously, they got to push out the old guard kind of, and then like they got to bring in something new, because like this ain't working, right? Like this ain't working. Like, and clearly, like
I agree with
the resources, with the talent level, everything like this. Like, how can a region like NA, not be good, right? Like, it has to be good. There has to be something there. It's just not, whatever's going on is not right? Like, there's something not right. Lulu. Lulu.
Oh, Lulu.
Hey, Lulu.
Should put her on a show.
Baby. But yeah, so that if we went back to that RNG series, I know in game 2, at least initially, RNG got bullied in game 1, right? Because they let T1 figure out how to like early game map control everything. Like they invaded early, and they basically they were always ahead at that point. So RNG this time refused to let that happen, and they were the aggressors. They made sure they didn't take any disadvantages early, and then they were the ones controlling the game for most of the early and mid game. But T1 being T1 as a Korean team, they were like, okay, we're just gonna play it out. We're gonna do this, that. Like, oh, you start beating up on us. We'll just go for the long game. We just need to start creating
like outlast it, right?
Where we can come back. And they were like down 8-1 in kills and like up 6K in gold, but like T1 is always trying to like, they aren't taking as many losses after that point. Like they're trying to just like slowly
mitigate losses.
Mitigate losses and find their team fight scenario. Obviously they have to have the skill. This is at the highest level of play. Yeah. So that no matter what, they're going to be good, right? So they eventually, in the end, they just adapted to each scenario and I'm keeping it very general because you had to watch it to understand, but they executed their game plan. They got derailed to a degree, and they were at disadvantage state, but they just eventually were organized enough against China or RNG's organized chaos, and they found a way to win it in the end. And obviously there is skill too, but if you look at the strategy part of it, like it was flawlessly executed, and I was amazed honestly because most teams like I feel like an NA team would just like crumble after being down 8-1 in kills.
How about this though? Because how about we state it this way? Like nobody's game plan is to go down 8-1, right? Like that's not your game plan. But like clearly it's kind of like what Mike Tyson, I'm pretty sure it was Mike Tyson said. It's like, you know, like everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth, right? Like this just like that's what it is. And then you just got to like adapt to exactly the situation that you're approached with, right? And it's like, I mean, you're not planning to go down at 1-8, 6K gold down in the beginning of the game. That's actually impressive because, like, if you think about it, and I'm sure you guys would agree, in League of Legends, it's a very snowbally game, right? Like, you build that advantage, and it's like, holy crap, like, I'm down. Like, it's like, well, you could either give up or you could try to, like, really claw your way back, but very, very carefully because any advantage is amplified, right, by the way that League of Legends is just the way that it works, right? So then I don't know, like that is an incredibly impressive when one team is down by that much. It's sort of kind of a miracle, but also like a huge kudos to T1 for withstanding that, right?
And to expand on that, there was actually a statistic recently released out of the group stages of Worlds. If you were ahead by 2K gold, 2,000, that's not very much.
That isn't very much, no.
You had a 90% chance of winning that
90%,
game.
Geez.
90. And the fact that T1 came back from what did you say? It was like a
I feel like it was 5 to 6K. Yeah, 5 to 6K
crazy gold deficit. Yeah. That is actually insane. You know, because 5 to 6K, that depending on what stage of the game you're at, there's a freaking big ass difference, dude. Yeah.
It's like fully completed items on like your carries or something.
Exactly.
Like
you're basically an item ahead. You know.
There's a lot of nuance to that too, though. Like, because sometimes when you're pushing, like you haven't backed yet to get your goal, like make your purchases. But pros, they're always aware of all that type of stuff.
So like the optimization.
He hasn't backed yet. Yo, we can push out this. We can do this. Oh, they're positioning like this. Like so, there's the nuance of that game is insane. And
it
like
is.
Oscar said, like for Korea to have or T1 to make that comeback, there was a lot of small things that they had to keep finding small wins. Just like it's a slow grind. It's like life, man. Like just find one thing and work on that, and then get that win, and then move to the next one, and then eventually, you never know, you might win it all. But yeah, I think we already talked about the culture that Korea has and the mental warfare. Like they're just maybe more used to that because that's what life is over there when they play that game. And we've for a while, you may not know about this, but for like FPSs, most of the time I think the Western countries usually win more, or maybe they just weren't as popular in the Eastern countries back then.
Yeah, I think it's a popularity thing too, to be honest. I mean, CS:GO, we can go back as far as like 1.6. I'm pretty sure it was much more popular in Europe compared to like every other part of the world. So naturally, they were just shitting on everyone
for a while. Yeah.
Same with like Call of Duty and Halo. Like that's what the Americans loved playing, and so we were naturally just better than everyone. Yeah.
Just playing it for that, like we're essentially veterans of those games, right? And then, but what I was gonna mention is like Valorant. It's seen even for a while we were still like the Western countries were dominating, but I think Korea had a team that actually made a lot of noise and upset a couple teams, and they played their own style of the game, and I was kind of impressed. I was like, ooh, yo. These guys, yo, I remember because I when I was in Korea and playing with some of these kids, I was like, yo, these guys are cracked. They were making some nutty shots, and I know they could do it. It's just like whether they want to learn or not. And then I think it's just like League of Legends for esports in general. If the whole world starts agreeing on like certain games and they like to play that, I think would be awesome to have these worlds situations in these games, because just seeing them duke it out against each other, it'll be very interesting to see, especially where both are at more entrenched, I guess. Like if the Westerners do like FPSs a lot, and then Easterners also try, then let's see what happens. And then who knows, the game would evolve, or like people will find their own styles, just like in League of Legends. Who knows? I think it would be awesome and entertaining as hell to watch.
Right, because I guess you would say that any Worlds competition in anything right now is kind of skewed depending on like what level of interest like that country or that region takes in that particular sport or game, right, or competition. Like for example, I mean, this is easy to see like in Olympics or whatever, right? Like certain Summer Olympics or Winter Olympics, like certain countries are really good at them. But like I would even venture to argue, right? Like I mean, like U.S. men's soccer is garbaggio, right? But it's like, but it doesn't have to be, right? Like, but it's if not only because soccer as a sport in the United States is like only like what like fourth or fifth out of all the major sports. I'm pretty sure like if America ever took an interest at all in soccer, which most other countries have internationally at least, then you'd have something on your hands that could be really really interesting in terms of like the highest level of competitions or whatever, right? Like, but if you could only compete if everybody's participating, right? Whoever's participating plays that game. Whoever's not participating just doesn't even show up. So it's just how it is.
That's fair. I guess another topic though, I guess that's very common with League. I guess the thoughts of like tilting.
League of the first thing I think about when I think of League is tilt, right? Like that's like they're synonymous with each other. I don't think any other game can have a claim to tilt as much as League, to me at least.
I can agree with you on that.
And I don't know why.
Agree also.
I don't know.
Because like that game, well, at least in NA, I think we blew it up too much sometimes. Actually, not even just NA, because I know Koreans did it too, at least the young ones. Like, when something bad happened, they're like, sometimes they just want to give up, and they tilt off the face of the earth. And it's like, oh, it's over.
Yep.
And, I mean, that's why a lot of times tilting kind of leads into toxicity and cyberbullying, essentially. I think young Oscar and Adew had a conversation while we were celebrating Karan's birthday. Could y'all let our viewers know what y'all were talking about?
Yeah, right. We were talking about like bullying or like cyberbullying, and then like David was there too, and he's like, I don't understand. Why don't you just like turn off just turn off your mic and then mute everybody else? Just go full deaf mute, right? Like basically, it's like you can't whatever you can't see can't harm you, right? Basically, what you can't hear can't harm you. That kind of like turn that part of your brain off if you're really gonna get tilted by those things. I know that Grandpa David is he's a little sensitive to the commentary. It's like don't talk to me like you don't mean anything to me. Like that's kind of like if like randos or like other people are trying to be mean or be toxic online, right? But I don't know. What was your stance on this, Oscar?
I mean, the example I brought up in that conversation was because me and my ex were playing League of Legends, and I'm pretty sure it was ranked flex, and like she only plays one champion, so naturally when you see someone that's a one trick, you're gonna automatically assume that they're good at that champion. It's not like she wasn't bad, it's just I don't know, she had like an off game or something, so she wasn't doing that well, but her ADC was like just berating her, and then like assumed that she was a girl, and then like was calling her like a bitch, and then all this other like misogynistic shit.
Yikes.
And like she started crying after that game, and I was like, oh shit, dude, like this is bad, like cyberbullying. It's like, yeah, we were joking about it earlier, but it's a thing,
Yeah.
And then that's kind of when I realized like this game is just toxic as fuck, dude, and like people can be like real assholes,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, jokingly, not jokingly, like just fucking mute the entire team whenever you play, right? Some people actually do that, right? I've done it before, and like it helps, but I'd rather like communicate with my team and say like, hey, let's do this, do that, whatever. But no, yeah, I mean we can joke about it, I mean lightly, but it is a thing, unfortunately, and just a bunch of assholes out there, and people just being rude to each other just because either they're projecting or I don't know, it makes them feel superior, whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's super messed up, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's just like how it is. I don't know. I guess because just people online, they find themselves in a position where they're like, I'm totally anonymous. Nothing I say will ever come back to me. Like, and I guess like we're me, Oscar, I guess Mike, everybody we grew up with the internet, right? Like this is our place, right? Like I've never participated in anything where I'm like just flaming off the wall or whatever, but like it's just I'm kind of used to seeing that, right? Like when people are like Twitter trolls, whatever, it bothers a lot of people, but it just doesn't bother me very much because I'm like, whatever, they're just being whoever they are, and like your opinion literally doesn't matter to me, right? Like
but
but
who are you? Like
but a lot of people can't turn that part off, right? Like they can't really, I don't know, like, or it's just it gets to them, it gets to some certain people, and I could see how that could be, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but
and I mean I admittedly was part of the problem back then. And it wasn't until like our boy Matthew was like, "Yo, dude, like raging at your teammates isn't gonna do shit. Like if anything, it's just gonna make the situation worse, and it's gonna make you play worse." And at the time, I didn't care, or it's not that I didn't. I guess it's kind of like I didn't care, but I also didn't like understand his perspective, right? But then I don't know. I guess I just decided to be more mature one day. And then like I was like typing, I was about to rage at this kid, and I was like, is this really gonna help? Is this really gonna help him play better? You know? So I kind of just stopped.
yeah.
And then like when people started raging at me, like I'm like, dude, what the fuck's this guy's problem? Like I just mute him, or like I got to the point where like it started affecting me, and like affecting my play style and everything. So I was just like, yeah, this is definitely not it, dude. Like raging at your teammates, falcon punching your teammates. That's not how to do it, man. So yeah.
Like there's like constructive ways.
Not.
Yeah, there's more constructive ways to like releasing your emotions than giving your friends a broken jaw, right? Like I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was also going to mention, because I think this is something that probably gets less attention, but it does happen more often, I think, nowadays, is I guess passive comments.
Like passive aggressive.
Yeah, passive aggressiveness. Because like if people don't, because they know if they're raging doesn't help, then some people who, if they don't have it all together, they find an outlet, and sometimes it's passive aggressiveness also. But like people who are aware, like they also know, like, dude, what was the point of saying that, basically? Like it's not constructive or anything. Like and some people don't even take constructive criticism that well, which is unfortunate too. But like honestly, I guess like in Valorant too, I think we've talked about this before, Adew. We don't really try to like tell them mid game like something they can do better, I guess. Especially if we're playing with randos. But if we're playing with like people that we know, then we're just like, we can go review it after. Like even streamers, like people, if you really want to improve and be better, reviewing your games or reviewing whatever you're doing is like highly crucial, because then you can analyze it. You aren't as emotional. There's no tension or stress to like do something and think at the same time. So I think that's the best time to talk and like say something people won't get mad. Also I will keep mentioning this because I'm notorious for not having good delivery of, even though my thoughts might be solid or at least okay, I don't always deliver it in the nicest way. I'm just very blunt, I guess. Probably because of football, I got yelled at all the time bluntly, so I just end up projecting that same shit back then. But now I try, because my guy Adew is always telling me to be better, and I appreciate that. But yeah, hopefully we're all not as toxic, and being a part of the cyberbullying part, we can be tilted, but
yeah. I think it's just a matter of like finally realizing how not only does it affect others, but like also learning like different approaches on like how to provide criticism, because like not everyone, like you said, not everyone takes constructive criticism the right way or the way you're intending it to be, even though it's not like good intention, right? Some people literally just play League or any game really just for fun. Like they don't really care about getting better.
NA for fun
like,
region.
Yeah, NA for fun, exactly. You know, like
that's something I'll never understand.
people probably like. I mean, people probably like come back from work after like getting yelled at from like a client or whatever
They
the
want
fuck,
to de-stress,
and then they just want to de-stress and play League, and then they're just getting even more stressed because fucking Toxic Sock right here is saying you're shit at your role, you know?
Oh
And
god.
like uninstall or something, you know? And then like when I realized, yeah, it's just like you don't need to do that. You've got to understand like people play this game or any game for like fun, right? And even then, if you're trying to give them constructive criticism, like it's probably for like it's probably not for them, or you probably only want to do that whenever you're like with a team or something and you're trying to be more competitive. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
no, I get you.
I feel like the toxic people's argument would then be like, what they say, why are you playing ranked or some shit? Then if you want to go have fun, right?
Yeah,
what are you going to say to that? Then what's the? It's like go play
like,
ARAM. They'll say that or some shit, but it's like
people would, yeah. I know where you're going with that. Go ahead.
because I don't know, like in Valorant, I won't lie, like sometimes I go like I don't want to play like Spike Rush or like whatever normals because like it doesn't offer me the same level of I guess enjoyment, I guess. And then when I do play ranked, like if they could be a funny situation too, and like honestly, there's some funny banter with some people when you're competing also. And I don't know, League of Legends, there's no voice comms as easily, so I guess that's another reason why sometimes it can be maybe a little bit more toxic because people think they can just like what is it called, keyboard warriors, just like type whatever they want because they, I don't know, there's like no punishment kind of, or there is a punishment, you can get banned and whatnot.
See you in the tribunal, nerd.
Yeah, you're getting chat restricted. Like who cares? You know?
Yeah.
Like, no
for some of these people, yeah. So what do you think? What were you gonna say, Oscar? When I mentioned that, why are you playing rank? Go do something else, basically. For those people that want to de-stress. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that's like a very common thing to say whenever like, whenever someone says, like, usually it happens when like, oh, you're bad at your role or like you suck, right? And then they're like saying, then they type back like, I don't care, like I'm just playing this game for fun. And then that's when they would say that like, oh, if you're playing for fun, go play normal, blah 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 blah. You know, like it's not a good argument. Like. Sure, like ranked is more geared towards or catered towards people that want to take it a little more seriously, but you can't control like someone wanting to play ranked over normal. You know, like I think that's the other thing about raging too is like, especially in like League, at least for me, like I only have control over myself and my character.
Exactly.
I have no control over. I can only like say, oh, do this or try not to do that. But at the end of the day, I don't have control over like their keyboard or mouse to help them not do whatever they're supposed to do or do whatever.
Yeah, you
like,
can't play for them, right?
It's very exactly. That's why like back then in like season 2 and 3, like I would tell Matthew be like, bro, if I had 5 me's in every fucking role, I'd shit on everyone. You know? You know?
I love it, dude.
Yo, I like Oscar. I need you to watch Haikyuu. Also, the one of the he's like a prodigy setter in volleyball, and he said something similar. He said like, if I could pass, set, and spike to myself, I would definitely do it. And that's what you reminded me of.
Yeah. But like looking back at me saying that back then, it's very like arrogant thing to say, and it's just like, because I'm not good at every role or like, you know, but it's just I guess back then again, just me being a rager, being frustrated, my teammates aren't doing what I want them to do.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like, but that does stem from a place where it's kind of like yeah, that's true, but it's also kind of like a little bit of helplessness too, because like all of us want to feel like we're in control, right? Or like want to be in control rather than be like, I am at the mercy of freaking 4 other people that I have to depend on that'll do what I think is at least predictable, if not the correct move, right? Like it's just like, as long as you, sometimes even like I say this all the time, is as long as you make the same mistake together, it's at least better than like making like 5 separate mistakes, right? Like, or, you know, like, or whatever that might be. But like, I don't know. It's hard to, because at least, you know, you have some element of control over what everybody's going to do together. But you know, it's very hard because like if you're going to play any kind of competitive team-based game, you're always going to be at the mercy of other people, right? It's just whether or not like, and that's why these kind of games like say like Overwatch or League or Valorant or CS:GO, whatever, like if you're depending on like a solo queue system, it's never going to be perfect, just simply because like these are people you don't know at like possibly like very randomly skilled levels, right? Like it's just like, and none of them going to play on the same style as you. Whatever, they might not support you in the correct ways, or you might not support them in the right ways. Or like it just maybe you don't mesh, maybe personalities don't mesh. There's a lot of different things. Like it's just like it's literal. Like I'm just gonna go and show up and then like play a pickup game and like hope for the best. Like really, it is sort of like an imperfect system, and it's kind of like that's the way that's got to be. Where it's like, and then like obviously there's gonna be like a lot of tilt or anger that results from that. Right, but then it's just kind of like how do you deal with it, and it's hard to say. Exactly. But I don't know.
I honestly was about to say like I agree and disagree with you though about like the making it's better to all make the mistake and whatnot. Like I do agree at times. Like obviously this is like with everything. Like there is situational, but also like well maybe I'm only thinking about League and Valorant right now, but sometimes it's just like. If we're all gonna Valorant, if we're all gonna literally run through a Viper wall or a Omen smoke and there's a shotgun in there, I kind of don't want to go in there and follow to my death after 3 people died in there. Yeah. And I'm still at a disadvantage.
Right.
That's me. And then in League it's like we're feeding him. Like literally they have lifesteal or something. like why are we running at him right now? We can go do something else. We can make another decision together. We don't have to do this. We can control ourselves.
Yeah, right? But my point is that at least you made that decision together, right? Like if you all ran at him together, yes, but that's an all team decision versus like I just 4-manned and then like there's one guy like split pushing by himself or something like this in League, for example. It's like, all right, well, like that's not very helpful either, right? Like, or you know what I mean? But like basically, like in the scenario where it's like if we're gonna like make a decision as a team, like you know, at least we're sticking to that. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I would also that also goes along with I think I guess we can kind of spoil alert this topic that I've been interested in is when people practice a lot or like they have so much confidence to be like that super carrier or whatever. I think, dude, you came out with a nice way of saying this, but those people, when they practice so much, they have all that confidence and they become maybe more narcissistic or so self-confident or like of their decision or their abilities to do things, right? So once you have that confidence, like if someone's split pushing it in, as long as the team understands how to actually execute.
Right. But if that's, but I'm saying, but if that's the plan, right? Like, if that was the plan, yes. Like, right. Like,
right. And, like with that split push or whatever, when you're that solo person, they have all that confidence, so they believe they can do it for sure. And sometimes they'll fail, right? It's just like missing that clutch shot. You don't always make the buzzer beater, right? In basketball, and those guys like. The more they practice it, I guess they literally become like it's like how Oscar was saying, like when he went to listen to muscle music and like has his coffee or whatever, he becomes a different person, you know. Maybe those guys when they love that clutch factor, right when they get there, they're like, oh man, this is literally like this is what I live for. Like when I'm playing volleyball and I see someone like a lot of people most of the time that I play with, they play more casual, but sometimes I meet some people that are they turn on the competitive fire in my head. Like they did something like smart or like interesting to me. I'm like, ooh, like I don't know. If you watch Haikyuu, they have like this evil smile. I think I pull one of the like. I think I started licking my lips. I was like, yo, this is about to be fun now. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Maybe I just like competitiveness too much, dude. I got the adrenaline rush from it is too good for me.
Oh yeah, I mean, everyone gets like a rush off something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've known you for a long time, Mike, and you are very competitive, but there's nothing wrong with that. At least I don't think. You know, just as long as you kind of understand like your audience and like, okay, like maybe some people just want to have fun, right?
Yeah.
But like for you, your enjoyment is like being competitive.
The entire region of NA
There's
says
nothing wrong with that, you know.
the entire country, the entire hemisphere of NA is like for fun, for fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know,
NA, why so
it's all
quiet?
good. I learned. I adapted. I'm better about it now, right? All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Um, I guess I always wanted to ask about WoW because I don't know it as well, and that's where kind of our history of playing games together stems from. I think now, Oscar, right? This guy was the one who taught me a lot of shit. He power leveled me through places too. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing back then. But why do people love WoW so much, and why is it enjoyable to level up in these like old zones, in your opinion?
Yeah. Let's start off with why people love WoW so much.
Why,
So
Oscar? Why?
so WoW has a very good story. You know, WoW started off with like Warcraft 1. I think it wasn't even called Warcraft 1. I think it was called Orcs and Humans.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that
it was
original.
like made in like the early
Okay.
90s. And like, you know, that it had a good story to it, you know, just
Uh-huh.
like these orcs came from another world, invaded the humans, bam bam boom, fighting each other. Then there's like other factions involved that like
Hmm.
influence one faction to do one thing, the other faction to do the other thing. It was like kind of like Lord of the Rings in the
Yeah.
sense that like it was a very good fantasy story. They came out with like books and stuff. Then they came out
Hmm.
with more games. They came out with like Warcraft 3, and then the very first World of Warcraft, all this other stuff. Um, I feel like the main foundation of why everyone fell in love with WoW was the story.
Hmm.
And then the gameplay was really good. And then once they were like, oh, like it's evolving from an RTS to MMORPG.
Right.
Like I'm in control of my own character and I get to customize it. I get to live like a whole different fantasy. I get to live in like
Yeah, that step in evolution in gameplay is like
yeah.
we don't realize it now because like it's been around so long, but it's like holy crap, like what just happened, right? Like I'm in this character's shoes now or whatever, right? Like it's kind of
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, or I get to interact with like the coolest character in the game. Like I get to interact with Thrall. Like Thrall was
Hmm.
like the biggest uh like
Daddy
he was
Thrall.
the orc, you know?
hmm
The orc that you want to like the coolest orc. Anyways, that I feel like that's part of it. That and then I mean, I guess you can argue like the graphics back then were like pretty good. You
for
know
the
how some people
time.
say
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, like I only play certain games because the
Hmm.
graphics are good."
hmm
Hmm.
Um, that could be part of it. But me personally, I think what I love about WoW, at least when I first started playing it, was just the progression of my character.
Right, for sure.
Like that little upgrade of an item, even though it's like +1 stamina, +2 like whatever. It's like small, but like also big because it scales up towards the end, right? I love getting loot. I love it when like I see like my character does like more damage or like more healing. Um, just the overall progression of my character. I think that's what I loved about it when I first started playing WoW.
Like that
Um,
incremental improvement, right? Like that
yeah,
you just got.
like you get to see your character get stronger. I mean, that's one reason why I liked playing Pokemon back then because I would
Oh
level
yeah,
up.
for sure.
Like I'd see the level go up. They get more HP, more attack, more special attack, whatever. They learn new
Hmm.
moves. Same
Yeah.
thing with WoW. Like I'll learn a new ability at like level 23 or something like that, right? Like and then the talent system, like, oh cool, I get to put one more talent in that. Then when I finish that part of the tree, I get to unlock the next part of the tree and get like this even better talent, you know? Like that's what I love about WoW and MMOs in general, or
Yeah,
RPGs in general.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Um, but like talking about like old zones. So when I first started playing WoW, I actually started playing during vanilla, but I never reached endgame in vanilla just because like my computer was so shitty that it would crash like every 10 minutes, and like I would level my character and I had fun doing it, but again, like I never got to the end game.
Hmm.
Um, so I really started playing the game in the first expansion, Burning Crusade. Um, and I remember, yeah, like just going through all the zones, doing all the dungeons and stuff like that, all the quests.
Hmm.
Um, you know, having to like talk in the trade chat or not the trade chat, general chat of the zone, like, hey guys, I need help with this quest. Can someone help me? Or like, I'm looking for more people for this group quest.
L4G, L4G.
LFG. Yeah,
LFG,
exactly.
LFG.
Um, and the social aspect of the game was also very appealing to me too, because you have to work towards like trying to get a group together, or trying to like interact with someone and be like, hey, like, can you be my tank, or like, hey, I'm gonna heal you when this guy does this to you, so be ready, or like
Right.
be like type like I'm start popping your defensives, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like the strategy part of the game also intrigued me too. But kind of getting off topic with leveling up in the old zones. Um, I don't know. It's just something about like certain zones and like the way they see. This kind of ties back to
Sceneries,
the scenery. This kind of ties back to just me like liking
the
scenery in
photography,
general. Yeah.
etc. Yeah.
So like some zones they look like freaking deserts, but it was really cool because like if you understand the story, you know why it looks like a desert, right? Like 10,000 years ago, like freaking magic just boomed everything, and that's why it looks like that, right? Or like my favorite zone, which actually wasn't released until Cataclysm, which is 2 expansions after Burning Crusade, was called Mount Hyjal. Mount Hyjal had this world tree, this big ass tree, right? And this tree, in Warcraft 3, um, this is the tree that provided immortality to the elves, and Big Bag Demon just came and destroyed it, basically. But they planted a seed, and then it would regrow in the future, right? I don't know why I was so attached to that. I think I just liked it because the tree was just fucking ginormous, and I was a druid, and
Big trees.
were like trees.
What's
tree
not to
guy.
like about this?
A tree hugger.
Yeah. So I was like, oh man, this tree's badass. I wish I could go there. And then
My guy Oscar really they actually told him stay a while and listen, and then Oscar was like, I'm listening, I'm staying, I'm listening.
Yeah. So yeah, and then like once I finally got to that tree, I was like, dude, this is badass. Like I love this thing. I love this game.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like I don't know, just revisiting those zones and reliving that moment when you were leveling in that zone.
Sounds like a case
That's
of
why I like
nostalgia,
it.
no?
Yeah, definitely a case of nostalgia, and that's like probably the main reason why people play WoW Classic is because they want to relive the glory days. I definitely wanted to. That's why I'm playing it. But then you can also say like, oh, like the game was just better back then mechanically and like just whatever. But for the most part, I would definitely say it's the nostalgia, right? Yeah.
I feel like what you're saying, I think we talked about this off air, but we were saying like a lot of these companies are like starting, or maybe it's mostly Blizzard, but they're trying to like re-release like remastered versions or making remastered versions of old games that they know their audience. Like as we said, we grew up with these games, right?
Yep.
And they know we like that those games, so they're targeting our nostalgia, right? So they're re-releasing this with better graphics, and then we'll eat that up, right? Because that's maybe someone's heyday back in the day. Oh, I remember this is when I was this good, blah blah blah, and they want to go relive that again, right?
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna give them like benefit of the doubt that also making new games is really hard. Also, coming up with new ideas all the time, it can be taxing, right? So like
yeah.
It's like how Madden literally they just make a new year of the same game, essentially with new players, right?
Yeah.
And NBA, whatever game you can think of, is the same stuff. And I don't know if people are willing to buy the old versions with better graphics because some people, as Oscar mentioned earlier, they can't play it if it looks bad to them, right?
Yeah, what year are we in?
I'm one of those people.
Like we're gonna get Resident Evil 4, and then we're gonna get Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Like what year are we in? Like it's like
right?
What's happening, dude? Like we're just getting remakes again, and then just like Wrath of the Lich King. By the way, like okay, like I don't know what year are we in anymore. It's kind of what they do with movies too, right? And like whatever, but I don't know. So that's just how it is, and perhaps it's just people looking for a dose of nostalgia or like trying to bring back the old times. But
Yeah.
seems
I'm
to
about to sidetrack you a little, dude, because I think when he's mentioning WoW and like why he likes seeing the progression of his character, I just thought of, back in the day when you used to play The Witcher more.
Oh yeah.
Man, okay. I just wanted to see a dude go do the goddamn
No.
quest.
No. Side quests only.
My guy would never let me see.
No. I have to steal from every villager on the way to my side quest.
Man.
In my 20th side quest in the same region. Yeah, like
it was great. It was just kind of funny to see, and I was like, maybe Adew, he likes stealing from all these people.
Oh yes,
basically.
I have to steal from every peasant along the way. That's how it goes.
Oh, it was so troll.
Listen, man,
But,
I can't be a psychopath in real life, so I have to save it for my video games. Okay?
Oh, okay. As long as it's only in the video games.
Allegedly.
Sheesh. Young Oscar, with WoW, right? There's a gladiator, like it's like essentially being radiant or diamond or whatever, right? It's called gladiator in WoW, right? To get there, I don't think it's maybe you could out talent people at one point just because you have better reflexes, but I feel like once you start playing at that level and to beat the fellow gladiators, right, in a sense, were there ever like small things, a part of your game that you had to identify that you were lacking in, and then you took like steps to get better at that, or like drills or whatever it may be?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things for me is once you get to a certain skill level at the game, it no longer, well, I don't want to say it no longer becomes a matter of skill, because it's still, there's gladiators that are better than me, but it becomes like a psychological game at that point. So
mental warfare.
Because you start to understand, like, okay, this person likes to play like this, or like this person, he will try to juke, or he'll try to juke my interrupt towards the end of the cast bar, or the beginning of the cast bar, or the middle, or it's just completely random. You once you get to like play the other gladiators and stuff like that, and this can be applied to like any game really. The best thing to do is try to learn like what their habits are, and then try to exploit that.
Like mind games, or like boxing, or like whatever.
Yeah. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. The other thing that, at least in WoW, and this is like another reason why I liked playing the older versions of WoW, because you could do stuff like this. In the talent trees, there are specific talents that work in your favor for certain matchups. So if you know that you're gonna play someone that's playing like a melee heavy comp,
oh okay,
you can select talents that give you like you'll like retalent yourself and be like, okay, this person's queuing up right now, or this team is queuing up right now, and I know that I'm gonna be playing them like 70-80% of the time.
Okay.
So I'm gonna readjust my talents,
like blind countering
like,
them,
more armor.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like. But then sometimes you get paired up with like a new comp, and like those talents are like useless, and you're like, fuck, like I just,
you're trying to find every little way to like gain an advantage, but then sometimes you just have to accept if you do get put in the disadvantage, you just work with it, right?
And then sometimes some teams would like play like comps that you've never seen, or like comps that like just you've seen, but they're only catered towards a specific comp, like the comp that I'm playing, like a tech
sort of like
it's like a tech.
It's a tech, yeah.
And then like once you play them, it's like, okay, it's like a 80% like their favor, but you could still win it. You can still win it. You just have to have the right setup. And then that's when you start realizing, like, oh, like, it's not about how much damage my team does. Like, it's about how you set up, right? Like, you have to set up crowd control. You have to, like, once you have the perfect setup, then you can try and go in for the kill, pop your cooldowns. Right. Or maybe you can bait them into popping all their defensives by like making it look like you're about to pop all your cooldowns, but really it's just one guy popping one of his cooldowns, the other guy's like holding his offensive cooldowns. So again, it's like
That's very intricate.
It's like a mental warfare type of deal too, you know.
That reminds me of Matthew. Honestly, shout out to him. It was like being able to, always keep your cool and just like not. So like, your team may not be doing everything like you said or whatever, but it's about how you set up your winning scenarios, right? I think we used to dog on Matthew when we were all like relatively new, and he would do certain stuff. I think because he played Dota, and then I feel like honestly he showed me several times that he proved me wrong. Basically, you could do these things, you just have to set it up sometimes, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was a lot of that, and then like for me personally, like when I play healer, at least in Wrath of the Lich King, I play pretty passive because Wrath of the Lich King for druids, they took out a lot of like, I guess like healer offensive abilities that BC had, and then BC I was a very aggressive player versus Wrath I'm a very passive player, but then like, you know, you're playing against people that are like saying, oh yeah, Toxic Sock, you know, he's a very safe player. But then once I start playing aggressive, like they're like, oh shit, what do I do now? Like
the change up,
you know,
change of pace,
baby.
Yeah.
Love that.
Stuff like that.
All right, so now let's hit up one of your last games that I know more about with you is Smash. I know you gave me the business in Melee, but Smash Bros is a very different type of fighting game, right, Adew?
Yeah. Yeah, like I guess for those of you that don't know anything about Super Smash Bros, it's originally, you know, designed to be a party game. It's a totally different type of fighting game, right? Like you know, you don't have health necessarily that counts down. You have damage that counts upward, right? That's like already incredibly different. That damage contributes toward the amount that you'll be sent flying, for example. And then finally, you know, you can die instantly, right? Like you could have 0 damage on yourself and fall off the edge. You fall off the edge and die, right? Like that's also possible. And it works less like in like say like Street Fighter or like Tekken or whatever, less on combos or combinations of moves that you can string together, right? That are juggling people, but more like in a juggling and physics kind of way in Smash Bros, right? So like Smash Bros is like a completely different game, I would say. And you could argue, I don't even think you have to argue that it wasn't really designed to be competitive, but that people were just like, this is a really well-made game, and you can make it competitive, and so people just started like really doing that, right? So I don't know. What do you think about Smash Bros, and what do you love about this game so much, dude?
Yeah. So I'll speak mostly about Melee. Just that's kind of where like my background is. So Melee, like, I started playing Melee mainly because like my friends were playing, and they were like, "Oh yeah, my friend's better than your friend." Blah 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 blah. Like, okay, like if your friend thinks better than me, come on, let's set something up and play.
Let's fight. Like, let's duke it out, man.
Yeah,
let's box,
like,
bro.
Exactly.
Let's box, bro.
I'll win, or sometimes I'll get my ass whooped, and I'll be like, oh, "What the fuck? Like, what am I doing wrong?" You know? And then like, it's not until I remember it was like middle school, and like we had, Adew, you might have been a part of this. Do you remember in like when band and orchestra, we had like a.
Oh yeah.
We would like go to the middle school like in the evening, and they'd have
I don't
like a party.
I forgot about this. Yeah,
it was like a party, and then
it was like band and orchestra party. I think that's just what it was called. I don't remember.
Yeah, and then one of the rooms they had like a game room, and
yes, dude, I remember that actually.
Hell
yeah.
I was like,
I forgot about this entirely, man. I forgot, dude.
And I remember this Dr. Mario kid would spam his stupid fucking pills. And I'd be like, I don't know what how do I counter this shit, man? Like, this shit's stupid. And then he beat me, and I was like, what, man? This dude's whack, you know?
Dr. Mario, what do you mean?
Yeah, Dr. Mario, this character's ass,
just get beat by Dr. Mario?
And I'm like, how do I get better? You know? And then I started like watching YouTube videos, and that's when I started discovering like the pro scene, and then like how there's like different like tech. Like The most common one is wave dashing.
Wave
right?
dashing. That's your
Wave
boy
dashing,
right there.
for those of you that don't know, wave dashing in melees, it's basically like a movement tech that like you can quickly like sidestep away from someone, or you can use it to set up like another move or a combo. It wasn't built in the game on purpose. It was discovered by accident. Actually, a lot of the tech, if not all,
In Melee.
in Melee was discovered by accident. And that's why I fell in love with the game.
There's just like
because,
random
like,
intricacies of the game that just
Yeah.
yeah.
It's random intricacies in the game that can help you like in your gameplay and like basically help you beat your opponent, because like it gives you the advantage, you know. And like, you know, in like 2D fighters, like not Tekken, but like
Street Fighter,
and all
yeah.
that, you know, you have combos, right? Like, yeah, you just put in you do the input.
Right.
As long as you execute it, you get a good combo off.
Mm-hmm.
But in Melee, at least, there is combos, but there's really no like set input you have to put in. You can get
Right.
like super creative with your combos.
Mm-hmm.
Do shit that like, you know, that's textbook, like that's a textbook combo.
Yeah.
Or like you can be like Mango and like just make up your own shit, and you're like, wait, that works? Like that's not supposed to work, but it works, you know?
Yeah.
The Melee is like, it's one of those games where you can really express yourself.
Yeah.
Like you can, not
It's very
just, like,
sandbox. It's a very sandbox fighter, that's for sure.
It's a sandbox fighter. Yeah, it's a great way to put it. You know, not only do you express yourself by like the character that you choose, but like your playstyle as well.
Right. Absolutely.
And yeah, like I remember, who did I start playing with? I think I played with Mario, just because Mario's like, you know, main
Like your
Nintendo dude,
default
right?
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was like, who the fuck is Ness? Who the fuck is
Oh, yeah.
Marth? Like I've
Yeah.
never seen these guys before.
So
Like,
many
I've never played
characters.
These guys,
Yeah,
you know?
big roster.
Yeah. And then I learned that Mario's ass. So then I switched to Marth, and then like I was like, okay, Marth. David was shitting on me like Marth, and like, well, David was at that time. David was shitting on all of us. I was like, come on, man, I gotta like beat him or something. And then I picked up Sheik, and then that's when I started beating him, and I was like, okay, like I'm a Sheik main now, I guess. So I stuck with Sheik ever since. But yeah, no, Melee, it has a very special place in my heart, because like that's kind of when I first started going to like live tournaments. I remember my very first tournament was at GameStop right next to Town Center.
Wow.
And like, you know, the prize pool was like $20 or some low amount of money, but like, you know, you're playing against all these people that like, for different skill levels, different characters, different parts of the city, even different parts of the state or even country, and you're like, wow, like there's a scene for this game. You know, there's people play this shit competitively, and me being a gamer, like I wanted to be competitive. I wanted to get better. I wanted to understand why this guy like four-stocked me.
Yeah.
And, like, what can I do to not get four-stocked, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then the crew that I had back then, like, I mean, we were all into Melee as well, and we would mainly play with each other, and we would all get better with each other, which is also another cool thing, because it's like another way to bond with each other, right?
Yeah, for sure. And especially,
Yeah.
I you know, just to like very briefly interrupt, is because like that game was a LAN game, right? Like it's a local console game, right? Like at the time, I don't even know if there was like really any online ability to play Melee, especially because it just didn't exist. So then like you kind of had to be together. Like that was just you had to, right? Like there's no way to do it on LAN. Well, that's it. Like that's the only choice.
Late night LAN sessions for WoW, Smash, and then a run to Whataburger.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
That's
Sponsor us, Whataburger. Sponsor us.
Bro.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Oscar.
Yeah, and then I just want to wrap up. Like, the game is so intricate. Like, I mean, you can argue that there's a perfect way to play the game, but there isn't, because you have to take into account the human factor. And like, one person's gonna play Fox differently, right? Like
Yes.
You can play Fox like perfectly, textbook Fox. But then you have like players like freaking Mango who just do the dumbest shit, and it's like, this isn't supposed to work, but it's working, and he's beating me. So,
Dr. Mario, what do you mean?
yeah, there's just limitless ways to play that game.
Isn't that amazing? Like and like, how old is Smash? When did it come out? What, like 2006 or something?
Melee? No,
Melee.
Man. Melee. I think it came out in 2001.
One? Oh my gosh! I thought it was even later than that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it came out.
Yeah, Melee is older
November
than you're right.
2001. Yep.
My God, dude.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago. But like, and it's honestly, it's, I don't know. You call it. What about the other Smashes? Like, what do you think about any of the other iterations of Smash that have come out since?
Yeah, so
we've glossed over Brawl, kind of.
Well, actually, we'll start with 64. 64, I actually didn't play that much.
Oh,
but,
the OG. Oh, yeah.
That was my shit.
Yeah, I didn't play that much. 64 actually had like tech skill as well, but not as much as Melee. But they still had their own tech skill, and it was still an intricate game. Brawl. Not a fan of Brawl, just because
no one liked it.
That was like a true party game. Like they took out all the tech skill, they took out all the fun stuff that Melee had. Like they clearly intended the game to be only a party game, and they did a good job at that. Because like the competitive scene hated it. There was still a competitive scene, but it was arguably pretty small. But it's also kind of what killed Melee, because they were like, oh well, Nintendo's like
not supporting.
They're not supporting.
Yeah, they're like pushing their new game, obviously, right? Like,
and then it's like, okay, like all the other Smashers are probably gonna be like this, so what's the point, you know?
Yeah. Basically splitting your player base, right? Like, and that's always.
And they went to the Wii U version, and then that was basically the same as Brawl, kind of, right?
It was a little more techy, like in the sense that like you could DI again. Direction, for those of you who don't know, DI, directional influence, is like when your character is about to get hit, you can hold the stick a certain direction so that you can have control of like the way your character, like the projection of your character. So if like you hold your stick up, instead of getting knocked down like that, you'll get knocked up.
Like you fly a different direction.
Fly up like more instead.
And you can use that to your advantage to like
survive longer.
So they had stuff like that, and then like what else did they bring back? There was like their own tech skill as well that Melee didn't have, but before the Wii U version, Smash 4, the community made Project M.
Project M.
So Project M was not Nintendo affiliated at all, but basically
like a mod almost, right? Or
it was a mod. It was a Melee mod. Like it was basically Brawl, but with all the tech skill that Melee had, and like it was cool, you know. But the problem with that was the game, like I said, it wasn't sanctioned by Nintendo, so it was up to the community to apply like balance changes towards the character, and like it made it awkward because it's like, okay, like why is it up to this person to balance
like
Fox
it feels very arbitrary, right?
It's very arbitrary, right? Like it's not like an official patch. It's like, oh, this guy thinks that this certain character's OP, so he's just gonna nerf it, right? Whereas, you know, you have a official committee or official like Nintendo sponsored group that balances.
It's like having house rules for some game. It's like,
exactly. But Project M was pretty cool. I played it for a little bit. I just played the characters that I played in Melee.
Yeah.
But then it was cool because I had to learn like all the new characters and all the, you know, like for example, like Ganon was I wouldn't say it's trash in Melee, but it wasn't that good. But in Project M, he was like pretty decent. You know, Fox is the best character in Melee, whereas in Project M, I mean, he was still good, but there was like, he wasn't like the perfect character.
Yeah.
So there's like other choices, and like there's better ways to beat Fox, stuff like that. But yeah, Project M was cool. But the problem with Project M was Nintendo
Balancing
started.
issues.
Yeah. Well, not only that, the biggest thing was Nintendo started hitting
Lack of
like
support and like just
Oh.
hitting
it started hitting them with like
the
copyright
copyright
strikes.
infringements and
Oh.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So like you
Okay.
couldn't-
Yeah, Nintendo is
stream it.
very. Yeah, Nintendo is pretty.
That's
strict.
a whole nother thing we can talk about. Like
Yeah.
Nintendo being basically the Disney of like the gaming industry.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically they're like, you can't stream our games anymore, so kind of killed the scene because,
Are they doing that now with Ultimate? No, right? Because they don't even support Ultimate anymore, right?
So they don't support.
As far as patching.
As far as patching, I think they're done patching the game.
Yeah, they won't do it anymore, right?
Yeah, because they're done releasing characters. Yeah, actually, Dave and I were talking about this the other day. I think they are done patching Ultimate. But yeah, shit, what was I gonna say? So after Project M died, they made, I believe that's when they made the Melee documentary, and that's the one that I linked to Adew.
Right, and I started watching
was-
that. I highly encourage you to go watch it. Like it's been very entertaining or so far.
Yes, it's
yeah.
gives you a really good understanding of how the Melee community was born and how we maintained ourselves, how, just like the history of competitive Melee, how we died, how we started to come back.
Like Jesus resurrected on the third day.
Yeah, yeah, you can kind of say that, or sort of, but the documentary inspired a lot of newcomers as well. Like after 2014, 2015, you started seeing these like new faces, like these new kids that are like 14, 15, and like we never thought we would see that because like Melee's
it's an old game.
It came out in
Yeah,
2001,
with
Like,
with
who the fuck
future
plays Melee
iterations
anymore?
that already came out. It's like well, if you were gonna start playing Smash, it would be like you would start at like 4 or like Ultimate or whatever. But like people going back to Melee is like it's just kind of like Mona Lisa, right? Like it just
Yeah. So it's really cool how like passionate the Melee community is about the game and how passionate they are, like how grassroots they are, because the Melee scene is very grassroots. Like it's very community funded. Yeah, we have sponsors from like certain tech companies and some energy drink companies, but like really it's still community funded, We have no support from Nintendo. And I mean, again, we can get into that later, but yeah, for
That's
Smash
amazing, to be
Ultimate,
honest.
for Smash Ultimate, so they have it's called the Panda circuit. So Panda Global being a team, a professional gaming team. From what I understand, they're not directly sponsored by Nintendo, but Nintendo does give them certain resources to host these events and the rights. Most importantly, the rights.
yeah, that's the that's the most important thing.
So you can arguably say that Nintendo's on board with the scene, but also still
It's kind of
cautious. They're cautious about it too.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Mike?
No, I was about to use. You used a lot better word than what I was about to use.
Oh, okay. But yeah, Ultimate. I like Ultimate. It's like a cleaner, more refined version of Smash 4, in my opinion.
Cool.
A good amount of tech skill. The roster's fucking insane.
There's a lot of characters.
There's
yeah.
a lot.
There's a lot of freaking characters, and it's entertaining to watch, at least in my opinion. I mean,
Same.
it's not as APM intensive as APM being
Melee.
actions per minute. For those of you that don't know, not as APM intensive as Melee, but I mean, you can still do cool shit in Ultimate, right? Yeah, I mean that's why I play it because it's fun.
He's a Bowser boy. For those of y'all that don't know,
Yeah, granted I play a slower character, but
likes to hug
it's still
me.
fun. Yeah.
I recently made the switch. I used to be a Mega Man boy, but now I wanted to wrestle with Oscar. I got inspired by the Lucha Libres in Mexico, and I'm an Incineroar guy now. So we're just like, which one of us can hug the other first, you know?
Yeah, it's a good game, but Melee, I'll always prefer Melee. Melee will always have a special place in my heart, and yeah.
Now that we just mentioned Mexico too. It's funny. Oscar and I were like, I think we had downtime in between like doing activities in Mexico, and Oscar and I were like roommates in Mexico, and I just see this guy on his phone watching something. Like, bro, what are you doing? And then he's like, hey man, I'm watching Melee, and I was like, well, what's happening? And he tells me basically it's the grand finals of a big tournament, and it's Oscar mentioned him, Mango, which is one of the I think
Mango,
four gods of Melee,
like,
basically in a sense.
Yeah.
He's like the goat essentially. And
Mangoat.
a guy playing Yoshi, and for those of you that don't know, Yoshi is, I believe you said, a mid tier or low tier character.
Yoshi, okay, Yoshi is low or mid on the mid tier spectrum.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
So, you know, competitive, but will very likely never win a tournament ever.
And you're at a big disadvantage if you're playing him, right? And hey, so my ass, because I'm a nerd too, and I just hopped in and was like, all right, let's watch this shit. In Mexico, we choose to watch a Smash Melee game, grand finals, which was lit as hell. I think people just heard me, like, we would see like big comebacks, and just like being able to play that character, it was super exciting to watch. Oscar was like because he loves Mango, but he really wanted what's the Yoshi player's name? Amza. He wanted a Yoshi to win it all also, because it'd be pretty cool, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like an underdog sort of story, right? Like, you gotta love it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like the underdog stories, but also like Amza as a person, very lovable person in the Smash community. He's Japanese, so like the thing about the Smash community is like they really like the foreigners, for the most part. But
that's heartwarming.
Yeah, it's very wholesome, and again, like this is like one of the nicest guys in the entire community, and yeah, a fucking Yoshi in grand finals, like completely unheard of. Like this guy, everyone knew that this guy was good. He was a good player, but he just never. He would always place like top 8, but he just never could have that push to like get to like the finals or even win.
And the gate kept, right?
Spoiler alert, he won. And this was arguably the hardest tournament in like a very long time. Like all the top players were there, and he freaking won. And it was everyone was going crazy. Like the crowd was just going insane.
We were going crazy.
I was going crazy. I'm like, holy shit! A fucking Yoshi won a major, a super major, and it was, yeah. It was awesome.
Lit as fuck.
You had to wait like 21 years for this moment, right? Like
yeah.
Like literally, like you had to wait all this.
Also, I think Adew found something that kind of like, I know Oscar was talking about like if you pick certain characters, you're kind of already at a big disadvantage.
Oh, yeah.
And like it's rough, and you're gonna have to grind it out just to be able to be at the same level. And then you're going to still have to grind it out even more just to have a chance to maybe sneak some wins, in a sense.
Yeah.
And you have to get a lot of things lined up. Dude, can you read that interview quote or whatever?
So basically I was watching a Street Fighter, Capcom sort of, and you know, like there's a lot of these games that we play these days, almost all of them, you select a character, right? Like you select a character, they have a certain set of abilities, a certain set of skills. In all these fighting games, you do that, right? Like that's just how it works, right? So in practice and in theory, everything is always like, it's kind of asymmetrical, right? Like all these characters have different abilities. There's going to be some characters that are going to be better or worse, right? Like we were talking about these tiers, you know, there's opinions, and it depends on the person piloting these characters too, right? But like, you know, in this Capcom Street Fighter V tournament interview that I was watching, Brian F, one of the players, was like, no, potential, quote unquote, potential means bad. You don't got time to realize potential in this game, right? That's the fact of the matter. Potential is not good in this game, right? Like, so he was picking like some new character, Oro or whoever. And then so the interviewer was like, yeah, you've got to pick a character that gets the job done, man, right? And then Brian was like, yeah, you don't got time to get better with those characters. You got to win right now, right? And so the interviewer was like, yeah, that's what's crazy about the esports environment, right? Like you could see the potential in Yoshi or whatever, but if you're fighting for your life, if you're fighting for like tournament cash or whatever they're like your sponsorship, whatever it may be, you just don't got time to like play around with this. And it's like if people have discovered a certain character is better than another character, it's like, why waste your time working on all the like, and plus like we're talking about, there's huge rosters in these games. It's a lot of this stuff is like matchup dependent too, right? So then you got to learn every matchup for your one character or whoever you choose. So you better choose your character correctly, right? Like if you're gonna commit all that time and effort, right? So right. It's just one of those things where kind of like in League you select the character, in Smash you select the character, right? In WoW you're selecting a class or whatever. Like so like you better like if you're being serious about something competitively, it just makes sense to. Like that. I found that quote very interesting. We may be able to post the video of it later, but yeah, that's what I thought at least. What do you think about picking low tier characters, Oscar? Do you think like is this like a like it's a feel good story, but do you feel like is it like a practical thing at all, or is it are they thinking differently? Maybe some people are thinking like this particular character is like considered low tier, but if played in a certain way, like what if Yoshi has like an advantage over like Foxes out there, right? And then it's suddenly like, oh well, looking pretty good, instead of like people just didn't realize this or something, or like like are we just working on conventional wisdom instead?
Yeah, so I mostly agree with what that guy said.
Yeah.
Whenever he says like there's no time to like for potential.
Yeah.
Basically like he's saying like if you want to win now, like you better pick like Fox.
Right.
Don't pick Yoshi.
The year is 20XX, right?
Yeah. I definitely agree that if you're gonna play like an unconventional character or someone that isn't like S tier, like you're gonna have to put in more work compared to like a Fox player or a Marth player to win, because these characters, these S tier characters, they're S tier for a reason. They're already innately good. They have the correct toolkit to like counter or put up with like the rest of the entire roster.
Right.
And like you said, like yes, you can pick Ice Climbers or Samus or Yoshi and play it a certain way to win, but it's gonna take a very long time to refine that kind of play.
Right. Okay.
And even then, once you start playing that like that and you start winning, people are gonna find ways to counter that pretty fast. So like when Amza won against Mango, Mango literally went into the lab and like started playing all the Yoshi players, and like he was like, all right, I gotta figure it out. Like, I know exactly what to do now against, like, Yoshis whenever they're trying to set up this or, like, whatever, right?
Okay.
And so, like, the next tournament, which is actually happening right now, I don't know what's gonna happen, but, I mean, I'm sure he's got a game plan.
He's more prepared.
Yeah, he's more prepared against Yoshi. And then, like, Fox is already, like, S tier, same with Marth, and then, like, they just have a better kit in general,
right?
And like it's just the way that you can't do anything about it. It's just the way that the game is designed, and so that's why like you're better off picking like Fox or Marth or some or like Falco or something.
Because with the ultimate, it's like similar, right? It's like with SkyJ, like I mean that's my guy. I love that dude because he plays in Cineroar, right? And but that's a low tier character. But he does make it work, but he can't win it all. Yeah, unless it's like a small local, because there's people playing better characters, right?
It's a lot harder. You have to put in the work, a lot more work compared to someone playing an S tier character to try and like win.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, if you want results now, if you want to start winning everything, like, you better pick a high tier character. That being said, I think it's very healthy for any gaming scene to have that one or two people that play a low tier character or mid tier character that are good with it, and like they just stick with it because I don't know, they just identify with that character. Like another good example,
Because they love pain.
yeah, another good example for the melee scene is a Pikachu player named Axe.
Axe.
Like,
Axe.
that guy,
Walgreens Drake.
that guy's sick, dude. And then when he won Summit a year ago or 2 years ago, I don't remember. It was crazy. Everyone was going insane because Axe was a top 8 player. It's just, you know, the limitations of Pikachu just really never got him to like win it all.
Yeah.
Because Pikachu is basically a shittier version of Fox. So, but like, yeah, it's always nice to have like someone that plays like a low tier, mid tier character win because it's like, oh shit, it's crazy. I can't believe so and so beat like
They
a
pulled
top
it
tier
out.
character, you know? And like, I don't know what it is, but like a lot of the players that pick at least in the melee scene, a lot of the players that pick like the low tier characters or mid tier characters and stick with it, they're all like really wholesome. You know, it's like they just play the game for fun, but they're like also like very good at it.
Well, they can tolerate the pain, right? Like it's like,
yeah.
I lost again. I lost again. I lost again.
What's the say? No, well, it kind of reminds me of like once you've been to the bottom or like you've been through all sorts of shit, basically, like you just end up appreciating everything because like the journey and all the work that you put in is just kind of it's a process. It's just very rewarding.
It's all uphill from here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's all uphill.
That's actually a really good way of saying it. Because I was gonna use an example like for me, but no, I mainly pick like strong characters. But yeah, like I feel like most of these people that like stick with like their low tier, mid tier characters, they have so much pride in their character and they want to show the world that they're able to do it, that their character is able to win, and like their mental is so strong that, you know, even though they lose, they're like
they're unbreakable. They're unbreakable.
I'm just gonna stick to fucking Yoshi, you know, because I know I can do it. I just, you know, gotta try harder or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I think
learn how to play the matchup better, etc.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. No, it's good. I mean, because like it's basically like you said. It's I think too that no matter what, it's healthy for a scene as well if you can get more of a diverse group of characters like be valid, because it's like you have to keep people honest, right? So like if you do have a Yoshi and they're really really good, then you do have to have somebody like Mango be like, oh shit, I actually have to prepare for this, right? Like if you're never gonna see a Yoshi, you're never gonna prepare for Yoshi, right? But like if he shows up and then you match up with him and he could knock you out of the tournament, that's a big deal. You better be prepared for that, right? Like that could be a situation. Like it could be a Jigglypuff, it could be a Yoshi, it could be like a Pikachu, right? Or like whatever other character, and it's like, I don't know how to deal with this, right? Like so it keeps the entire tournament honest, because it's like, okay, like I could lose to a low tier character because it is a low tier character, nobody's playing them, so like suddenly it's like I have to be ready for this, right? Like if somebody really is maining their entire lives on this character and like they really are that good at it, then it's like I better be ready, right? Because like it could end you, right? So like having that, like, you know, I think it's really important for the health of the game, right? So,
oh yeah, for sure.
That's my opinion at least, but you know, so it's interesting. All right.
Any shout outs you want to do, young Oscar? I'm pretty thankful that you got to like show us all this stuff. Actually, wait a second. Before we say anything, I also forgot something because we talked about the box before.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
you were the one who told
you told us about
it.
The Hacks Money created the box, right? Or the B0XX, right? Like for the meme. But so the box, right, was and shout out to our previous episode a while back with Dr. physical therapist, Dr. Jeffrey Wu. He was talking. We were talking about like gamer injuries, right? And one of those that came up, and you know, like we asked Oscar, was like, well, what about Smash? And then he was like, yeah, because of the way the controller works or whatever. The box was developed by one of the players to help out with that. So Thanks for your help, being able to like tell us about that, because that's something I wouldn't have known about.
Yeah, no, the box. There's a lot of controversy as
Okay.
to like how the box operates, but I ultimately think it's a very good thing because it makes melee more accessible to like these players that have like these wrist issues or whatever, right? Um, I I myself, like, if I don't do my stretches, like I'm gonna have wrist problems, and like I don't want that because I want to keep playing games.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that this thing exists. There's players out there that like they can't play melee like all the time because their wrist or their thumb starts to hurt, right? Because they're doing all these advanced techniques that require like
high APM.
crazy
It's like
movement,
all
you know?
thumbs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not good for you. But like now that the box is here, I mean, I literally can just do that, and then like you can still play the game. But
That's cool.
the controversial part of the box is like, at least from what I've seen, it's a lot. Once you master the box, it's a lot easier to input these very advanced techniques. Not only that, since it's not like Nintendo sanctioned,
Right.
yeah, since it's not Nintendo sanctioned, like you don't know if someone like programs. You don't really know unless you do like a thorough check. If someone programs like a macro
Like a macro
to
into
do
the
a
box.
specific, yeah, like to do a specific maneuver, specific tech, like on demand, right? There was some, not specifically towards the box, but I'm not sure if you're aware, but people mod their GameCube controllers nowadays. They'll put like a whole new motherboard and then like a
What?
chip, yeah, a chip that makes it more responsive and shit like
Oh
that.
wow.
It's crazy now. But like what I was going with that is like there's like so there's a pretty advanced tech skill in melee called Smash DI. And Smash DI is right as you're about to get hit, I think it's like 1 or 2 frames. You literally have 1 or 2 frames to do this. You just like mash the stick a certain direction, and then like as you get hit, your character kind of like jerks in that direction.
Okay.
So you can use that to like escape like the second part of the move that you're getting hit by, or like you can use it to like influence the direction like immediately so that they can't do like their combo. It's a very
Interesting.
useful tech skill, right? And
For
it's a
Smash
game
DI. Okay.
changer. And so but it's kind of hard to pull off, right? Or not kind of, it's pretty hard to pull off effectively. So people will make these macros like literally anytime they get hit, or if they get hit by a special
Wow.
move, like it'll just smash DI the
Automatically.
correct direction, right?
Wow.
So that's like one of the things about like the box, and then like just modding controllers in general is what makes it controversial. And then like the other thing that's controversial about it is just like how easy it is to, once you master it, how easy it is to input these
To put in the right
combos or like the tech skill, right?
And honestly, then why don't people just, if that becomes the problem, then more
Everybody
people
use the
just
box?
switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on you. It's your choice to stay with whatever, right?
That's true, but a lot of people, one of the arguments is just like the controller just being authentic, right? It's
That was like the
was there since
native
the beginning.
intention of how to play the game.
The intention
yeah.
of the game is to use a controller,
Right.
right? And then the other thing is like having to relearn the game.
Everything.
Well, not the game,
Yeah.
but like relearn everything, right? And then like for some players, like they're just naturally better at a controller compared to like a
That's
box.
fine, right?
You know? Yeah, but some people don't want to do that, you know. But no, I think it's, again, the way I see it is it makes the game a lot more accessible towards people who have like these wrist problems and stuff that actually want to play the game.
Right. That's amazing.
And even then, like most of the top players, if not all of like the
So
top
controller.
Just on
player.
controller.
Yeah, controller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
I think like I mean Hacks is if Hacks still playing like yeah he'd probably be like top 10. He'd probably be like the only person playing on box. But Hacks was already like a top 10, top 8 player back then.
Right.
You know. Um. I mean I don't see an issue with it at all. Most if not all tournament organizers allow the box.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. I like it when um the community innovates certain things for
Right.
like
Yeah.
a video game.
Once
or,
again,
like,
breathes fresh air into the
Mhm.
game again and
yeah.
again.
I think it's very healthy. It makes it more accessible for more players to come, and it provides like inspiration for like the young kids or even like the old timers to like
Yeah.
come up with something new, you know? So that's my opinion on it.
I love what you just said because like even though like I've recently picked up volleyball and I'm 30. I picked it up at 30, right? So I'm playing with high schoolers sometimes, and like obviously I don't know everything. So sometimes I just be asking them like, "Yo, how do you do this?" or whatever, and then they're pretty chill and they just try to tell me. And I think being able to just like just because they're younger doesn't mean they don't know something better than you, right? Obviously,
for
you take
sure.
everything with a grain of salt. Make sure you like know things too, but like it doesn't hurt to ask, right? And sometimes you never know. They're not jaded by whatever experience they have, so then sometimes they come up with some really innovative thinking, and you're just like, whoa,
Yeah.
yo, you're onto something. I think, and I think it's refreshing as hell. So like, I really enjoyed what you just said.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm all about like trying to understand other people's perspective and like you said, like yeah, like I'm a veteran at like Halo, for example, but like if someone does something new on like Halo, the new Halo, and like, bro, how the fuck do you do that? Like that's tight. You know, like 14-year-old kid discovered, I'm like, hell yeah, like, teach me how to do that shit, man.
How'd you get up there?
Yeah.
Like, how'd you hit that
I
shot?
want to do that.
I'm
you
a
know?
grandpa. How'd you do that?
Yeah. So
Don't worry,
yeah,
man.
no,
We'll be playing in the retirement homes. We'll be smashing in the retirement
for
homes.
for sure, lols.
Yeah.
But so yeah, Oscar, do you have any shout outs to anybody? Like, I mean, you mentioned your mom already. Yo, shout out to the mom.
Shout out to my mom.
Mr. Sarah's awesome.
Mr. Cero. Shout out to my sister because she's actually the reason why I started gaming.
Ooh, okay.
Nintendo, NES, playing Mario. Shout outs to all my homies. You, Adew, for having me on the show. Shout outs to
Love
David
having you.
for having me live here and being a gamer friends. Shout outs to Lulu and Mimi because
little babies.
they make me happy. Shout out to Melee.
Melee
I love
community.
Melee. WoW.
Yes.
Games in general.
Yeah.
Games in general.
Maybe one of them will sponsor us in the future. You know, and then we
Right,
can just like go do stuff, right? You never
And,
know, right?
Whataburger
shout
sponsor
outs
us.
to- Oh, Whataburger, hell yeah.
Whataburger.
And then shout outs to the viewers for
course.
watching, the subscribers and all that.
We love to see it.
I'm really happy that y'all are doing this.
Appreciate it.
Because yeah, I mean, I feel like people still undervalue games, or at least the older generation. And you know, if someone from an older generation watches a video like this, I mean, hopefully they can understand like why is it we're so passionate about video games.
Yeah. Why is this a big deal? Right.
And then like the psychology behind it and all the intricacies behind it as well.
For sure.
So really glad
we're
y'all are
trying to do.
like this. So yeah.
Sometimes those old timers just need to hear like, because if you just think of it like if you replaced sports, traditional sports, and just had video games in that era, then it could be in reversed when they introduce sports. Then it'd just be us trying to explain why sports could be like video games.
Yeah,
in a sense. So it's literally like it's just like getting people to be aware and just like understanding it, and that's why psychology, whether it be traditional sports or esports, is actually very similar. There's obviously differences, but that's what we're trying to do. Thank you for coming on, brother. And
thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Much appreciated. Awesome.
Do you got any shout outs for now?
Not really, not right now. But really, just we're looking forward to having you. I mean, Oscar, you're extremely knowledgeable, alongside Grandpa and also Ethan. All these people, you guys are the people we rely on a lot in order to like do our research, like to see like what's up behind like several of these scenes. Where sometimes like we're not as like plugged in to say like the Smash scene or whatever, but like they're huge parts of esports, right? Like, and it's really important for us to get that perspective as well, no matter what. So like like as a resource, it's like, have you heard of this? I'm like, I have never heard of this in my life. I look into it and I'm like, my god, this is like a really important story for us to do. Like, honestly, another shout out, actually, that's true. So Oscar had said before the Smash Brothers documentary, let's go ahead and plug that right now, because it's like we need to all watch that, and then the next time maybe we could have have a conversation about that as well, or like any comings and goings. So like basically what I'm trying to say is we need to have Oscar as a guest more frequently, because he could give us insights into things, especially as they pop up, as they come along. He'll be our resident expert, especially in the Smash scene, because we definitely need that. Anything from on your end, Mike?
All I'll say is like Halloween's coming up. Everyone be safe. I'm trying to do some wacky shit for Halloween. Well, I don't know if it's wacky. I'm just a weeb. I'm trying to be like this dude right here, trying to get well, not real tats, but I'm gonna try to put some fake tats on, kind of be a weeb, live the weeb dream. Just kidding.
Weeb dream.
Cosplay God Mike.
Just basically have fun. If you get a costume, wear it proudly, do whatever, have fun with your friends. Don't go too because we are a psych and I'm a pretty health nerd too. Just don't go overboard on the candy, or alcohol, whatever is your vice.
Candy and alcohol, so my two vices.
You gotta get swole like young Oscar over there. So you gotta put on the right calories if you can. All right,
let's close it out then for this episode. Thank you for joining us for season 2, episode 3 of Full Tilt Esports Psych. As usual, I'm tilted, Mike is tilted, Oscar is tilted, everybody's tilted. All of you that have joined us today or at any time previously, thank you. If you haven't already, please like, follow, subscribe, turn on notifications for us. We'll be out here doing more content. Look forward to us talking about Ben Simmons, us talking about Kevin Love, the Redeem team. We love basketball around here. That's our thing too. Anything going on with Worlds, I mean, that'll be coming up too. So maybe we'll have Oscar back. Maybe even Ethan. I know Ethan was in contact with Afromoo. He was in contact with Afromoo because he's actually pretty close to them. So maybe one day we could get some input from Afromoo or others. So let us know what you want to see from us. We want to try to respond to everything. We'll try to have a conversation with you guys, and we'll hit this up again soon. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. And if there's anything else, see you later, guys. Peace.
Catch us on YouTube.
Bye.
Bye.
Are you tilted?
I'm always tilted. Are you tilted?
Man, I'm tilted to the max. I'm always tilted.
Special guest, young Oscar, are you tilted?
Dude, you can see it in my eyes, dude. I'm like ultra tilted all the time.